In the silence between stars, there is a river no eye can see. It has no water, no banks, no sound. Yet everything that has ever lived, every star, every planet, every breath of time itself, is carried upon its unseen current. The ancients imagined the heavens as still, eternal, and unmoving. But science revealed a deeper truth. Space and time are not a stage upon which reality unfolds, but a restless ocean that ebbs and flows, bends and twists, dragging all of creation with it. It is a river that cannot be resisted. Galaxies drift apart like fragile boats set adrift on black waters. Light itself, the fastest traveler in existence, is stretched thin and red, fading as it is pulled along this infinite tide. Even the laws of physics, once thought immutable, tremble before its current. And so a haunting question arises. Is there a current darker than all others? A force that does not merely carry the universe forward, but threatens to erase it? A river that flows not into new lands, but into silence, cold, and nothingness? Humanity drifts upon this tide, unable to stop, unable to turn back. Our lives, our histories, our civilizations, all are brief ripples upon the surface of this endless flow. And though telescopes reach across the abyss, and equations map the hidden curves of space-time, the destination remains unseen. We are passengers on the darkest river flowing through space-time, and its course remains the greatest mystery of all. In the dawn of the 20th century, reality itself was redrawn. For centuries, space and time had been seen as absolute, eternal, and unmoving. They were thought to be the silent stage upon which the drama of the universe unfolded, never changing, never touched by the actors who moved across them. Newton had declared time to flow uniformly, like a ticking clock that never falters, and space to stretch endlessly, like an infinite grid, rigid and unyielding. But in 1915, Albert Einstein shattered this ancient certainty. With the publication of his general theory of relativity, he revealed that space and time are not two separate realms, but one single, intertwined fabric, a living entity known as space-time. Matter and energy did not merely exist within this fabric. They bent it, curved it, reshaped it. The universe was no longer a static backdrop, but a restless landscape, shifting beneath the weight of stars, collapsing around black holes, and stretching under the hand of unseen forces. It was as though the cosmos itself had become fluid, a vast, invisible river whose currents carried everything within it. To describe this hidden motion, some physicists later adopted what they called the river model of space-time. In this vision, space itself flows, dragging along planets, stars, and even light. Inside a black hole, for example, the river plunges inward faster than light can move against it. Outside, the currents are gentler but no less relentless, stretching galaxies apart across unimaginable distances. It was a metaphor, yes, but also a profound truth. Space-time is not still. It is in motion. The first clues of this motion came not from Einstein himself, but from the sky. In the 1920s, a young astronomer named Edwin Hubble turned his telescope toward the faint smudges of light beyond the Milky Way. At first, many believed these smudges were simply gas clouds within our own galaxy. But Hubble's observations revealed a staggering truth. They were entire galaxies, vast systems of stars, each separated by gulfs of darkness. And more astonishing still, those galaxies were moving. By measuring the light they emitted, Hubble discovered that the farther a galaxy was, the redder its light appeared. This, redshift, meant the galaxies were racing away, their light stretched by the expansion of space-time itself. It was as though the universe were a great river, and every galaxy was a leaf upon its surface, carried outward in every direction. The discovery was revolutionary. For thousands of years, humanity had assumed the cosmos was fixed and eternal. Even Einstein himself had initially resisted the idea of a dynamic universe, once introducing a cosmological constant into his equations to force them into describing a still, unmoving cosmos. But Hubble's findings could not be denied. The universe was expanding, not because galaxies were flying through space like projectiles, but because space itself was stretching, like a river widening as it flows downstream. This was the first glimpse that space-time was not a void, but a moving, flowing entity. The implications were staggering. If space was expanding today, then it must have been smaller in the past. Roll the river backward, and one is carried toward a single point of unimaginable density and heat, the beginning of time itself. The Big Bang was not an explosion in space, but an explosion of space, the birth of the river that has been flowing ever since. Yet even in these early discoveries, a sense of unease emerged. What exactly was this river made of? How could nothingness itself expand? How could the void have a velocity, a current, a direction? The questions were as philosophical as they were scientific. If space-time is a river, then where does it flow? Does it end? Does it circle back upon itself? Or is it infinite, carrying everything into a future without shore? Einstein's equations gave humanity the tools to describe the river, to measure its curvature and predict its influence on stars and light. But equations could not yet reveal its essence. The metaphor of the river remained hauntingly incomplete, a model that hinted at motion, but concealed the true nature of the current beneath. And still, the discoveries deepened. In 1929, Hubble published his now famous law. The speed at which a galaxy recedes is proportional to its distance. Double the distance, and the current doubles its pull. The river was not only flowing, it was accelerating with distance. For many, the vision was almost incomprehensible. If space itself could expand, then the very definition of distance was unstable, shifting beneath the feet of physics. The yardstick of the cosmos was not fixed, but stretching, carried downstream in the same river it sought to measure. To imagine this strange reality, physicists often turn to analogies. Some describe the universe as the surface of a balloon, with galaxies painted on its skin. As the balloon inflated, the galaxies drifted apart, not because they were moving on their own, but because the space between them stretched. Others preferred the river, a flow that carried everything, relentless and unending. But unlike a balloon, this river had no outside, no surrounding air, no point of reference beyond itself. It was not expanding into anything. It was expansion itself. What Einstein and Hubble together unveiled was both wondrous and unsettling. The cosmos is not static, but alive. It has currents, eddies, and tides. It bends around massive bodies, spirals into black holes, and stretches toward infinity. And so the first vision of the darkest river was born. Humanity could not yet see its depths, nor understand its source, nor predict its end. But the evidence was undeniable. Space and time were not still. They were moving, flowing, carrying us forward with no hope of return. The discovery left behind an indelible realization. Existence itself is not anchored. Every moment, every galaxy, Every star drifts upon a current we cannot control, toward a future we cannot yet see. What began as Einstein's equations and Hubble's telescope had revealed something deeper, a universe adrift upon the silent waters of space-time. A river vast enough to hold all things, and dark enough to hide its destination. For decades, the flow of the universe seemed clear. After Einstein's vision and Hubble's revelation, the river of space-time was understood to be expanding, carrying galaxies apart in every direction. The question remained, however, how fast was this current? And would it last forever? Many believed they already knew the answer. If space-time was a river, then gravity was its resistance, tugging backward, slowing the current. Every star, every galaxy, every invisible particle of matter had mass, and mass pulls inward. It was assumed that though the universe flowed outward, it would do so more and more slowly with time, its expansion gradually decelerating, restrained by gravity's grip. Some scientists imagined that one day this slowing current would come to a halt, and the river would reverse. Galaxies would collapse inward, and the cosmos would end in fire. A big crunch, the mirror of the Big Bang. Others imagined the expansion would never fully stop, but coast endlessly, slowing toward a still horizon. But then came a discovery that tore through the foundations of cosmology. In 1998, two independent teams of astronomers, the Supernova Cosmology Project, led by Saul Perlmutter, and the Heisey Supernova Search Team, led by Brian Schmidt and Adam Rees, turned their gaze to the night sky with a single purpose: to measure how quickly the universe's expansion was slowing. They used one of nature's most reliable beacons, Type Ia supernovae. These exploding stars, each briefly as bright as an entire galaxy, shine with nearly uniform luminosity. By comparing how bright they appear with how much their light is redshifted, astronomers can calculate their distance and velocity. They are cosmic lighthouses scattered across the river of time, revealing the flow of space-time itself. The teams collected data from dozens of these distant explosions, light that had traveled billions of years to reach Earth. Each supernova was a time capsule, carrying news from an earlier universe. Piece by piece, the story of cosmic expansion was reconstructed. And then came the shock. The data revealed that the universe was not slowing. It was accelerating. The river was not growing gentler with distance. It was gaining speed. This discovery struck the scientific world with almost existential force. Gravity, the great binder of the cosmos, should have been pulling the universe inward, tugging on every drifting galaxy. Yet something was stronger, a force invisible, undetectable, but unmistakably present. A hidden undertow flowing beneath reality itself. It was as though the river of space-time had a hidden current, one no one had anticipated. Instead of slowing as it spread wider, it surged with newfound momentum, stretching galaxies apart faster than they had ever drifted before. Astronomers gave it a name: dark energy. The words carried both precision and mystery. Dark, because it could not be seen, touched, or measured directly. Energy, because it seemed to permeate all of space, pushing outward, working against gravity's pull. Yet beyond the name, its essence remained unknown. The shockwaves of this discovery were profound. Dark energy was not a small correction, not a minor detail to be worked out. It dominated the cosmos. Current measurements suggest that nearly 70% of the universe is composed of this invisible force. Matter, the substance of stars, planets, and life, makes up less than 5%. The rest, the vast majority, is this hidden current, flowing silently, reshaping the fate of the universe. For the first time, humanity glimpsed that the river was not only real, but deeper, darker, and more relentless than ever imagined. Scientists struggled to reconcile the data with existing theory. If the universe was accelerating, what did that mean for its ultimate fate? Would galaxies drift so far apart that their light could never reach one another, leaving each star alone in a cold, empty sky? Would atoms themselves, bound by their own forces, eventually be torn apart by an ever-accelerating flow? Or was this current only temporary, destined to change course once more? The unsettling truth was that no one knew. Dark energy became the greatest puzzle in modern cosmology, a mystery that shook the very foundations of physics. For some, it was a sign that Einstein's equations, profound as they were, might still be incomplete. Others wondered if the cosmological constant, the very term Einstein had once added to preserve a static universe and later called his greatest blunder, might in fact be real, and the key to explaining this acceleration. But even that constant, elegant though it was, could not fully account for the strangeness of what was unfolding. Philosophically, the discovery carried a chilling weight. Humanity had always imagined gravity as the guiding hand of the universe, the force that held planets in orbit, that gave shape to galaxies, that sculpted the cosmos itself. But here was something stronger. A silent pressure that overpowered gravity on the largest scales, stretching the universe apart. It was like watching a river one believed would slow and calm, only to find that it surges toward unseen rapids. The current did not tire. It grew. And so the story of the universe shifted. No longer a cosmos destined for balance. No longer a river that would gently slow, but a universe caught in an accelerating tide. The evidence deepened with each observation. The Sloan Digital Sky Survey mapped galaxies across billions of light years, revealing vast filaments stretched like threads in the cosmic web. The cosmic microwave background, measured in exquisite detail by the WMAP and Planck satellites, confirmed the fingerprints of dark energy woven into the oldest light of the universe. Everywhere astronomers looked, the same story emerged. The current accelerates. The universe flows toward a future that grows stranger with each passing moment. Scientists continue to seek its nature. Some suggest it is vacuum energy, the energy of empty space itself, predicted by quantum theory, but inexplicably larger than any calculation can justify. Others imagine it as a new field, dynamic and shifting, evolving over time, like a hidden river beneath a visible one. Still others propose that gravity itself may not behave as we think, and that the river's current is a sign of deeper laws waiting to be revealed. But for now, the truth remains beyond reach. Dark energy cannot be bottled, cannot be weighed, cannot be summoned in laboratories. Its presence can only be inferred, seen in the accelerating drift of galaxies, felt in the way light stretches across the abyss. It is a current that resists the grasp of certainty. And yet, it is the current that defines everything. The galaxies we see today, the night sky we know, the stars that will be born and the stars that will die, all are passengers carried forward by this hidden flow. In 1998, humanity expected to measure the slowing of the cosmos. Instead, it found a universe that speeds toward an unknown horizon. The river of space-time was not still. It was not steady. It was gaining speed, pulled by an unseen force deeper than any imagination had prepared for. And so, a new question emerged. If the river accelerates, where does it lead? For centuries, humanity believed the universe must be bound, finite in its motion, restrained by the invisible hands of gravity. Isaac Newton's equations had painted a cosmos where mass attracts mass, where every body tugs upon every other, a grand and eternal balancing act. Einstein deepened this vision, showing that gravity was not merely a force, but the very bending of space-time itself, guiding planets, stars, and galaxies along invisible curves. In this framework, expansion could exist, but it could not accelerate. The logic seemed inescapable. If the universe began with an explosion, the Big Bang, then the outward rush of galaxies must gradually slow under the pull of their combined gravity. Even if space was vast, even if matter was sparse, gravity would work tirelessly to resist the expansion. But the discovery of 1998 struck like a thunderclap against this order. It was not slowing. It was speeding up. The river of space-time was not a stream coasting toward calm waters. It was a torrent that grew faster with distance, stronger with time. It was a revelation that shattered cosmology at its foundation. Everything thought certain, the slowing universe, the possibility of eventual collapse, the harmony of Einstein's equations, was overturned. The terror was not simply in the numbers. It was in what they implied. If the universe's expansion accelerates, then the great river does not end in a still lake, nor reverse into a final collapse. Instead, it races toward an abyss with no shore, no end, no return. Every galaxy becomes a drifting island, separated by widening seas of space-time. The further they are, the faster they move away, until their light is swallowed by darkness. The night sky itself will change. Over billions of years, galaxies beyond our local group will slip over the cosmic horizon, vanishing from view forever. Future civilizations, should they arise, may see only an empty void, unaware that a universe once sparkled with uncountable stars. The discovery forced physicists to confront an unsettling truth. The fate of the cosmos had been rewritten. The collapse once imagined, the Big Crunch, where gravity pulled everything back into fire, was gone. In its place loomed a future of eternal stretching, a universe racing away from itself, galaxies dissolved into silence. This was not merely a scientific adjustment. It was an existential wound. Humanity had long clung to the idea of cycles, of returns, of balance in nature. Civilizations across history imagined the universe like the seasons, expanding and contracting, dying and being reborn. Even Einstein, in his first cosmological model, resisted the notion of expansion, introducing his cosmological constant to preserve a steady, eternal universe. But the accelerating expansion allowed
in the
no
infinite
such
black
comfort.
ocean of the cosmos,
There would be
beat his
no
life.
return, no cycle.
It hums in the restless
Only
hearts
a
of
one-way
stars,
current into increasing
flows in the
isolation
molten veins
and
of
cold.
planets,
The analogy
and
is
lingers in the
haunting.
afterglow of the
A
Big
river
Bang
once
itself.
thought to flow into
A faint,
great,
ancient warmth
still
spread
lake was
thin
revealed
across
to
the
be
sky.
plunging into an endless
Even in the
abyss,
vastest voids
with
between
no
galaxies,
shore, no calm
the
water,
universe holds onto
no way
this
back
fragile ember.
upstream. The
It
river
glows at
itself
just
was not
2.7
jiggling
degrees
with
above
time.
absolute
It
zero.
was steepening,
A
falling
remnant
faster,
whisper from the firestorm
dragging
that
everything
birthed all
with it.
things.
For
But
scientists,
somewhere, far
the
beyond the
contradiction
familiar
with Einstein's
constellations,
equations was deeply
there is a place where
unsettling.
even that whisper fades.
His relativity explained
patch of
gravity's
space so
pull
cold
with extraordinary precision.
that it dips far below
It
the
predicted
cosmic
black
average,
holes, time
colder
dilation,
than the surrounding universe,
gravitational waves,
by a measure
all
that
later
defies simple
confirmed with
explanation.
breathtaking accuracy.
Here, the heartbeat of
Yet
the cosmos
this same
slows.
framework seemed powerless
Atoms
before
move
the
as if drowning in
acceleration
tar.
of the universe.
Light itself
Unless,
seems reluctant
perhaps,
to pass through,
Einstein had been right
as though
in a way
time
he
has grown
himself could
tired
not
within its
accept.
borders. To look upon
unless
it is
his
to feel the
discarded
strange weight of
cosmological
stillness.
constant,
A
that
stillness
small
that does
term
not belong
he
in a
once
universe.
called his greatest
Born
blunder,
from such
was
violent,
the very
unending
clue to
motion.
this mysterious current.
For billions of years,
But
heat
even
has
the
been the
constant
signature of
raised
creation.
more questions than it
The
answered.
echo of the Big Bang
If
traveling
dark
ever
energy was the
outward,
cosmological
cooling
constant,
but never ceasing.
a fixed energy of
And
the
yet,
vacuum,
here is a place
unchanging across time,
where that law seems
then why
broken,
did it have precisely the
where the
strength
universe
it
is
did?
more silent than
Why
silence
not
itself.
vastly stronger,
It is called the
overwhelming
cold
the
spot.
universe at birth?
And in the long
Why not
history of the
weaker,
cosmos,
leaving expansion
few
to
things
slow
have been
and
so
collapse?
hard to explain.
The fine balance
Why would a
seemed
part of the
almost
universe
uncanny,
be so much colder
as
than
though
the rest?
reality had been tuned
The
in
universe
ways
keeps its
beyond
oldest memories
comprehension.
hidden in a faint and
Some
fragile glow.
scientists proposed
It
alternatives.
is not the light of stars.
Perhaps dark energy
It is
was
older
not
than
constant,
stars.
but a dynamic
It is the
field,
last breath of a universe still in its
quintessence,
infancy.
evolving over time.
The fading radiation
Others
from the Big Bang
speculated that
itself.
gravity itself may
This
break
glow
down
surrounds
at cosmic
everything,
scales,
in every direction.
requiring new physics
Invisible
beyond
to human
Einstein.
eyes, it hums
Still
quietly
others
in the
suggested
microwave
our
range.
view of the universe might
Just
be
a few
incomplete,
degrees above absolute
distorted
zero.
by structures larger
It is
and
called the
stranger
cosmic
than we can yet
microwave
imagine.
background, the CMB.
But beneath the
And it is the
equations
oldest
and
light that
theories,
can be seen.
the shock remained visceral.
For decades, scientists
had
have treated this light
in
as a kind of
single
map,
decade that the
a
universe
frozen
was
imprint of the
far
moment when the
stranger,
first atoms
darker,
formed.
and more
Nearly
merciless than it had ever
380,000
believed.
years after the Big
The
Bang.
acceleration posed
It records
not
the
just a
universe's earliest
scientific
structure.
challenge, but a
Its first tiny
philosophical
ripples
one.
in density.
For the first time,
The seeds from which
humanity
galaxies and
realized
stars
it
would
was
someday
drifting on a
grow.
one-way flow
But this
with no
map is
shore
not
in
perfectly
sight.
smooth.
The cosmos
carries
was
tiny
not a great
variations in
stage
temperature.
upon which dramas unfolded
Fractions of a
endlessly,
degree warmer or
but a
cooler
river
than the
carrying
average.
everything toward an
These
unseen
differences,
horizon,
though small,
relentless,
hold
irreversible.
the fingerprints of cosmic history.
What does it mean to live in
Clues
such
about
a
the
universe?
universe's age.
A universe
Its
where
composition,
every connection will one day be
and its
severed,
destiny.
where
By
light
the dawn of
itself
the
is stretched
21st
until
century,
it fades.
technology
Where even
had
time
reached the
seems
point
to
where
rush
these
toward an
variations could be
emptiness no
measured
imagination can fully
with unprecedented precision.
It means that existence
NASA's
is
Wilkinson
not only
Microwave
fragile,
Anisotropy
but
Probe,
temporary in ways
WMAP,
once unthinkable.
was launched in
The
2001
stars
with a
above,
single mission:
the galaxies that
to chart the
decorate
faint
sky
model pattern of the
are not
CMB
eternal witnesses.
in exquisite detail.
They are fleeting
For
vision,
years,
granted
WMAP
only to
circled
those
a quiet
who happen
point
to
in
exist
space,
now,
a
before the
million
current
miles from
carries
Earth,
them beyond the horizon
far
of
from the
visibility.
interference of radio signals
In this
and Earth's
light,
heat.
the universe
Its
feels
detectors
less
scan
like
the
a
sky, pixel by
vast
pixel,
home, and more
recording
like a
temperature
passing
differences
dream,
as small as a
luminous
few
for a
millionths of a
moment,
degree.
destined for
What it
silence.
revealed was a stunning,
The terror,
delicate tapestry,
then, was
an
not
ancient
only
pattern that
scientific,
seemed to confirm
it was human.
much of what
To
cosmologists
discover
had
that
predicted.
the universe accelerates
But
is
within
to
that
confront
tapestry,
the deepest truth of impermanence.
There was something unexpected.
It is to see that
In
nothing,
2004,
not even
as
the
data
cosmos
analysts
itself,
smoothed and filtered the
resists the
WMAP results,
and yet,
a patch
within
of the
this
sky
terror
emerged,
lies a strange beauty.
unmistakably
For
darker
to
in the
drift
temperature
on
map
such a
than the
river
rest.
is also to be
It was
part of
not
its
simply
story.
cooler than average.
To exist in the moment,
It was much
when the
cooler,
universe reveals its true nature.
by a margin so large that it
Humanity,
could not be ignored.
fragile and brief,
Its position
has
was
glimpsed
fixed in the
deepest
constellation
current of
Eridanus,
reality.
a
It has
winding
seen the
river of
river
faint
for what it
stars
is,
flowing across
dark,
the southern sky,
relentless, and infinite.
covering an area hundreds
The
of millions of
scientific
light years
shock
across.
was the first step.
This cold
The
patch stretched
realization
far
that
beyond the scale
cosmos
of
does
any known
not cycle
structure.
back,
It
does
was
not
vast
grant
enough to
balance,
swallow entire
does
galaxy
not
clusters.
slow. It only
Yet it was eerily
accelerates.
empty.
And within
first,
that
the team
acceleration lies
hesitated.
both the fear of
The
vanishing
WMAP
and the awe of
detectors
knowing.
were exquisitely
The
sensitive.
river of space-time
But
does
sensitivity
not promise
can betray
calm
you.
waters.
Could this
It
be an
promises
artifact,
only motion,
a trick
only
of the
distance,
instrument,
only the abyss,
or an error in calibration?
and on its
The
current,
scientists
every
rechecked
star,
their methods.
every galaxy,
They compared the
every
data
light
against
drifts
independent
together,
surveys.
carried
The cold
without
spot
escape
persisted.
into the unknown.
Among the first to
Long
study it in
before
depth was a
telescopes
team led by
traced
Lawrence
the faint glow
Rudnick
of distant supernovae,
at the University of
before
Minnesota,
equations whispered
alongside
of an accelerating
colleagues Shea
universe,
Brown and Lilia
the river
Williams.
had already left its
They
mark.
were not looking for this
It was
anomaly.
written in light older
Their
than
work
galaxies,
was focused on
older
understanding
than
large-scale
stars,
cosmic
a
structures.
light born when the cosmos
Yet the
itself
numbers
was
forced
still
their
an
attention
infant.
here.
This
The
light,
variation was far
fragile and
beyond what
ancient,
chance could easily
is known as
explain.
the cosmic microwave
According to
background.
standard cosmology,
It is the afterglow
the
of
CMB's
creation,
temperature
released
fluctuations
nearly 380,000
should follow a near-perfect
years
Gaussian
after the
distribution.
Big Bang, when
random
the universe
variations
cooled
within a
enough
very
for
narrow
matter
range.
and radiation to
But
part
this,
ways.
This
From
was
that
like
moment
finding an
onward,
ocean current.
photons streamed freely
Flowing in the
across
wrong
the
direction.
widening ocean of space,
Rudnick's team
carrying
calculated
with
the
them
probability
the first imprint of the
of
river's
such a
current,
cold region forming
but
naturally
the current was not smooth.
from standard early universe
left
processes.
Tiny
The odds were
fluctuations
staggeringly
in
small.
temperature, no
Some
greater
estimates
than
put it below 1%.
100,000,
Others,
recorded
far
the
less.
first eddies and flows
Mapp's
in
findings
space-time.
began to circulate.
These
most
faint
of the
patterns
public,
became the seeds of
this was
everything.
just one more
The
strange
galaxies,
fact in a universe
the
full of
clusters,
strange facts.
the cosmic web itself.
But for cosmologists,
to human eyes,
it was deeply
this
unsettling.
ancient light is invisible.
The CMB is the
It
most
lies
pristine
in the
remnant of the
microwave
early
spectrum,
universe.
stretched
A
by
kind of
billions
cosmic
years
truth
of
serum.
expansion.
If it
But with
contained an anomaly
instruments
this
of
large,
exquisite sensitivity,
then something fundamental
scientists
might
have
be
pulled it
missing from
the
our picture
silence
of
the
reality.
cosmos.
Yet science
In
demands
2001,
caution.
NASA
Extraordinary
launched the
claims
Wilkinson
require
Microwave
extraordinary proof.
Anisotropy Probe,
And so,
or
rather than
WMAP.
announce a cosmic
Its
revolution,
mission was to map these
the community
tiny ripples
waited for
across
confirmation.
the sky, to capture
came in
the fingerprints of
2013.
the early universe.
that year, the
For
Planck
9
satellite,
years, WMAP
launched by the
traced
European
faint
Space
variations
Agency,
in the microwave
completed
background,
its own high-resolution
unveiling a
map of the
sky that
CMB.
was anything but uniform.
Planck's instruments were even
It
more
revealed
sensitive
a
than
cosmos
maps,
textured with subtle
capable of
asymmetries,
detecting minute patterns in
warmer
both
spots,
temperature and
cooler
polarization.
spots,
Its data
fluctuations
confirmed
that
the
betrayed
anomaly.
the restless movements of
There it was again,
space-time's flow in its
the
use.
same region in
What it
Eridanus,
found was profound.
still colder than
The
expected.
universe's expansion was
Still
not
enormous
simply
in
the echo
scale.
of a primordial explosion.
This was no instrument glitch.
It was
no
the
processing
unfolding
error.
of space-time itself,
The cold spot was
flowing
real.
outward like a river,
Its dimensions
carrying
defied
everything
easy
within
description.
it. Maps
If it were a
data
physical
confirmed
object, it would span
that
nearly
the universe
1.8
was
billion
geometrically
light-years from
flat
edge
on
to
large
edge,
scales,
an expanse so
consistent
large
with inflationary models.
that light itself
And
would
yet,
need billions of
within
years to
that
cross it.
flatness lay the
Of
signatures
course,
of
the
something
cold
deeper.
spot is not a single
Later,
object,
the Planck
but
satellite,
a region of space,
launched by the European
an area
Space
of the
Agency
CMB's
in
background glow,
2009, refined its
where the
vision
radiation's temperature
with even
drops
greater precision.
by about 70
Over 4
microkelvins
years of
compared to the surrounding
observations,
average.
Planck charted the
That may
cosmic
sound small,
microwave background with
but on the
extraordinary
CMB
clarity.
scale,
It
it is
revealed the
enormous.
most detailed map
A
ever
deviation
created
that
of the
demands
universe's
explanation.
infancy,
Some
down to
scientists
microkelvin
suspected
variations in
that a
temperature.
massive cosmic void
Through
might be
Planck's
responsible.
lens, the
An
river of
immense
space-time
underdensity of
came
galaxies,
into sharper view.
so vast that it
currents were
affects the
not
microwave
uniform.
background radiation
Some regions pulled faster,
through a subtle process
others
known as the
more
integrated
slowly,
Sachs-Wolf effect.
sculpting the uneven terrain
But even
of
the
cosmic
largest voids
structure.
discovered before
These differences,
had never produced a drop in
imperceptible without
temperature this
such
extreme.
instruments, became
Others
the
began to
scaffolding upon
speculate
which
about
galaxies
causes more
would
exotic.
form. Every
Ripples
star,
from primordial
every
fluctuations
world, every
magnified during
observer to
inflation,
come was born from these
unusual
subtle distortions.
concentrations of dark energy,
The earliest
or even
sign
scars left
that
by
the river
collisions
was
between
not a
our
gentle
universe
stream, but a
and other
restless,
bubble
churning
universes
flow.
in a larger
The
multiverse.
galaxies themselves
But
became
speculation
markers
could
of the
wait.
river's path.
What
They
mattered
are
now
like
was
leaves
simple.
upon the surface of an
The cold
unseen
spot
torrent,
had been seen
their
twice
motions betraying the
by
force
2
beneath.
independent missions.
As astronomers
It was
measured
not a
their
mirage.
distributions across the cosmos,
It was not going away.
patterns emerged.
Somewhere,
Filaments
deep in the
stretching
cosmic
across
fog of
hundreds
the early
millions of
universe,
light years,
a region
walls
had
of
cooled in a
galaxies
way that
separated
physics
by
could not
immense
yet fully
voids.
explain.
Regions where matter
And like a
clustered
flaw in an
tightly,
ancient manuscript,
and others where it thinned almost
sat
to
there,
nothing.
quiet
These
and
patterns
undeniable,
echoed the ripples first seen
inviting every
in the
reader of the
microwave
cosmos
background.
to
The
wonder what
river's
story it
earliest
was trying to
turbulence
tell.
had set the stage.
In the language
And
of
now,
modern cosmology,
billions
the
of years
universe is
later,
not chaos.
The galaxies still
It is a
trace
vast
those
and intricate
ancient
design.
flows.
A
And yet,
tapestry whose
the
threads
deeper
were
the
woven in the
measurement,
first instant
the
after the
stranger
Big
the
Bang.
story became.
And for decades,
river was
physicists
not calm,
believed they had found the
Nor even
blueprint.
consistent.
It is called the
It
Lambda
surged in
Cold
some
Dark Matter
regions more
Model,
violently
Lambda
than in
CDM,
others.
a framework
Certain
that
voids
explains the
appeared
origin,
emptier than
evolution,
expected,
and structure of the
pulling
cosmos
galaxies outward with
with
unusual
mathematical
speed.
precision. In this
Other
model,
regions
the
seemed
universe
denser,
began in a hot,
anchoring
dense
cosmic
flash,
matter more firmly.
expanded at an
It was as
unimaginable
though
rate during a
space-time
brief
itself
period of
was
cosmic
uneven in its
inflation,
momentum,
and then
as if
cooled
the
into
current
the web
of
of matter
universe
and
was not a
energy
uniform drift,
that
but a
astronomers see
patchwork
today.
of accelerations
Lambda
and
CDM
stagnations.
predicts the texture of the
This
universe's oldest
realization
light,
unsettled cosmologists.
the cosmic microwave
For if the
background.
river is uneven, then its
With
future
uncanny
is not a
accuracy.
simple projection.
Its equations tell us
Some
how
domains
smooth
may
that
thin
glow
into
should be,
near emptiness more quickly
and how
than
small the
others.
fluctuations should
Some
remain,
may isolate galaxies
like ripples
into
frozen
cosmic
into a
deserts
cosmic
far
pond.
sooner.
They were
In
expected to
extreme
follow a
speculation,
statistical pattern.
Entire regions
Tiny
of the
peaks
universe
and
could
troughs.
be governed by slightly
A
different
Gaussian
fates,
distribution that leaves
their
no
local
room for
currents
extremes.
determining how rapidly
And yet,
expansion
the cold
tears
spot
them
was an
apart.
extreme.
WMAP
The difference
and
in
Planck
temperature
had
was
not
not a
only
mere
confirmed
statistical
that the
quirk.
river flows,
Across
they
a region
revealed
hundreds
that
of
it
millions
flows
of
with
light-years
character,
in scale,
with turbulence,
the
with
CMB
hidden
was
depths.
colder by roughly
The
70
implications
microkelvins
touched every corner
than
of
the
cosmology.
average surrounding space.
The age of the
On
universe
human
could now be
scales,
pinned
it was
with
the difference between a
remarkable
warm
accuracy.
breeze and still air.
13.8
On
billion
cosmological
years.
scales,
The proportion
it
of
was
its
like finding a
ingredients,
canyon in the middle of an otherwise flat
ordinary
plain.
matter, dark
A feature
matter,
so large
and
and
dark
so deep
energy could be
that
mapped
its very
with
presence
precision.
threatened the map itself.
And above all,
For a physicist steeped in the
the
logic of lambda
fingerprint of dark
CDM,
energy's influence
such a deviation was
undeniable.
unsettling.
For
If the
woven
model
into the
truly
ripples
described
of the
the
cosmic
universe,
microwave background
then anomalies like
was
this
the
should be almost
unmistakable
impossible.
hint of acceleration.
The statistical
Without an
odds of a
unseen
region
force
this cold
pushing
arising
outward,
by
the
chance
patterns would not
were
align
vanishingly
with the
small.
galaxies observed today.
less than 1 in
The
100,
river was not just
perhaps
moving,
even less than
it
1 in
was
1,000.
gaining speed.
Cosmic
Its current
inflation
deepened by
theory
an
made the tension
invisible
sharper
presence.
still.
This
Inflation
presence,
is the idea
called
that in the
dark
first
energy,
fraction of a second after
became
the Big
defining
Bang,
enigma of
the
modern
universe
cosmology.
expanded faster than the speed
It
of light,
accounted for nearly 70%
smoothing out
of the
irregularities
universe's
and
total
distributing energy
density.
evenly.
And
It
yet
explains why
remained
the
utterly
CMB
hidden,
looks almost uniform,
detectable only through its
and why
effect
its
on
small
space-time's
fluctuations match
expansion.
predictions so well.
The image of galaxies
If inflation
as
had
leaves
done its
adrift
work,
on a dark river grew
there should be
ever
no
more
great
apart.
scars left over.
Their paths curved
The
not
early
by
universe
choice,
should not carry
but by the currents beneath
a single
them,
cold wound
dragged
stretching
forward by
across a
something
billion
neither
light
they nor
years.
we can see.
And yet,
The
there it
cosmic
was,
microwave background thus
staring back
became
from
a
the
mirror,
sky like an unblinking
reflecting
eye.
both the earliest
The
light
scale
of
alone
creation
defied precedent.
and the deepest mystery
Galaxies
of its future.
form in clusters,
In its
clusters
faint
and
glow lies the
superclusters,
story of a river that
and
has
between
never
them lie
ceased
great
flowing.
voids,
A current
regions
that
of
has shaped
relative
everything from
emptiness,
the first atoms to the
sometimes
spiraling
hundreds of
galaxies,
millions of light years
from the
across.
emergence of stars to the
But the
fate
cold
of
spot
entire
dwarfed them all.
civilizations.
Its
And the
footprint in the
most haunting
CMB
truth
suggested
revealed was this:
something
the
larger
river
than any
is not
structure.
smooth.
The standard
Its currents
model could
vary,
comfortably explain.
Its depths shift.
The first
The
response
universe
was
we see
disbelief.
is not a single,
Some
uniform
suspected
ocean,
a statistical
but a
illusion,
restless expanse
a
of hidden
random
tides,
fluctuation made
flowing at
significant
different speeds,
only because human
carrying
eyes had
different
noticed it.
destinies.
Others
In this
suspected the
uneven
data
motion,
processing pipeline,
humanity glimpses
arguing
both
that the
beauty
techniques used to
and the
smooth
terror
and
of
filter the
existence.
CMB maps
For it means
might have
that the
conjured a
universe is
phantom.
alive with unseen
in the quiet
forces,
rooms where
unpredictable
WMAP
in their
and later
reach,
Planck data were
relentless in
examined.
their pull. It
Scientists
means
traded
that the
cautious
current beneath
glances.
us is not gentle,
It was one thing to
but
speak
full
of
power
anomalies in
still
conferences,
only dimly understood.
another to suggest that the
galaxies
very
shine,
architecture of
But
cosmology
their light is only a
might have a
reflection
crack
on
in
the
its
river's
foundation.
surface.
There
The
was
true
professional
motion lies
reluctance,
beneath,
too,
silent,
to claim that
invisible,
lambda
eternal.
CDM had missed something this
And
vast,
as scientists trace
was
its
to imply
patterns,
that decades of
chart its
painstaking work
fingerprints, and map its
might be
currents,
incomplete,
they are left with a
or
profound
worse,
question:
fundamentally flawed.
where does this river lead?
And so the early
and
papers
why
were
does it
careful,
flow at all?
their language
nearly a
precise,
century,
restrained,
Humanity has measured the
their
river's
conclusions
speed.
framed with
How
statistical
quickly
humility.
is space-time itself
The
pulling
cold
galaxies
spot,
apart?
they said,
How fast is
unusual,
the current
perhaps
that carries
rare,
every star,
but not yet
every
proof
planet,
of new physics.
every moment of existence
More data would be needed.
downstream into the future?
Yet the unease
The
lingered.
first attempt came
If
in
the cold spot was
1929,
real,
when
it
Edwin
would demand
Hubble
an
peered
answer
into
that
the
went
heavens
beyond
and noticed a
the tidy
startling
predictions
pattern.
of the standard model.
The galaxies were
It
receding.
might point toward unknown
The farther
forces
they
in the
lay,
early
the
universe,
faster they fled.
exotic variations
His
in dark
discovery
energy,
provided the first
or even
measurements
signs of
the
a cosmic
current,
encounter
a number,
with something
a
outside our
velocity,
observable
a
reality.
rate at which the universe
And here
itself
lay the most
expands.
unsettling thought of all.
It would come to be known
In the
as the
ordered
Hubble
cathedral of the
constant,
lambda
the
CDM
ruler by
universe,
which the flow of
this
space-time
anomaly
is
was like a
measured.
shadow,
But nearly
where
a
no
century
pillar should
later,
be.
that constant
blueprint still
refuses
stood,
to remain constant.
but somewhere in its
Modern
design,
science has inherited
there might
more
be a line,
powerful instruments
drawn
than
by a
Hubble
different
could ever
hand.
imagine.
The cold spot could not be
Space
dismissed as an
telescopes
illusion.
now calibrate the
Two
flickering
separate
light
eyes had
of
seen it.
Cepheid stars, the
WMAP
standard
first,
candles of cosmic
and then ESA's Planck satellite,
distance,
a
They
far more
track the
sensitive
glow of
cartographer
type
of the
I
universe's
supernovae,
oldest light.
whose brilliance allows
Launched
them
in
to serve
2009,
as markers across millions
Planck's
of
mission
light
was to
years.
create the most detailed
These
map of the
methods
cosmic
reveal the
microwave
river's
background
speed in
ever
our
made.
cosmic neighborhood,
From its its vantage
The
point at the
local
Lagrange
expansion
point.
rate.
1.5
The
million
results are clear,
kilometers from Earth.
consistent, and
It
unnerving.
gazed into the microwave
The
fog
river
with
is
detectors
flowing at
cooled to
roughly
near
73
absolute zero,
kilometers per second
shielding
per
itself from the
megaparsec.
faintest whisper of heat.
But when scientists
It
look
scanned
farther
the sky
out
for 4
into
years,
the ancient universe,
layer by
the
layer,
current changes.
until the
By
early universe
mapping the
emerged
subtle
with
ripples
astonishing
in the
clarity.
cosmic microwave
When
background,
the data was processed,
missions like
the
Planck
anomaly appeared
calculate
again,
the expansion not from
anchored in the
nearby
constellation
galaxies,
Eridanus,
but from the universe
precisely
as it was
where
just after
WMAP
birth.
had found it.
These distant
It was no
measurements give a
artifact,
different number,
no echo
closer
of instrumentation.
to 67 kilometers per
It was a
second
real
per
wound in the smooth
megaparsec.
afterglow of
Two
creation.
methods,
The confirmation
both
only
trusted,
deepened the mystery.
both grounded in the
If
most
this region
careful
was
of
colder than its
observations.
surroundings,
Yet their answers
something must have
diverge.
shaped it.
This
But what?
disagreement has come to be known
Astronomers
as the Hubble
turned their
tension,
attention
and it is
not
not
to
a
the
trivial
CMB
matter
itself,
of precision.
but to what
It is
lay
a
between
crack
that
in the
ancient light and
foundation
the
of
Earth.
cosmology itself.
Billions of years of cosmic history,
Yet the river's current is the same
spanning the
everywhere,
entire path
flowing
between
with
here
one
and there.
universal speed.
If something
Then the
along
numbers
that line
should
of sight
align. But
could
they do
absorb,
not.
stretch, or
Local
alter the
galaxies
photons of the
suggest the river
CMB,
surges faster.
it might create such
The
a chill.
ancient universe suggests
The most
a
likely
slower,
suspect was
steadier
absence
flow.
itself.
The
cosmic
contradiction
void,
refuses to dissolve.
a vast underdensity
Some
of matter,
physicists wonder if
a
humanity
place where
is adrift
galaxies
in
were
a
sparse,
local eddy,
where
a
the
regional
great filaments
twist
of the
in
cosmic web
current.
thinned into
Perhaps
almost
our
nothing.
core of the universe expands
Such voids are not
differently than
empty in the
whole,
absolute sense,
skewing the measurements we
but
make
their
from our
gravitational
vantage
pull
point.
is weaker,
If the Milky
and
Way
the space within
and
them
its neighboring
expands slightly
galaxies
faster
sit
than
within
average.
a vast underdensity.
Photons passing through
great
them lose a
cosmic
fraction
void.
of their energy.
Then space around
A subtle
us might
effect
be
known as the
stretching
integrated
faster than
Sachs-Wolf
average,
effect.
like water
If a void
accelerating
were
through
large
a narrowing
enough,
channel.
perhaps
But
it
if
could
this
stretch
were
the
the
light of the
case,
CMB,
the void would need to be
just enough to
enormous,
cool it.
spanning hundreds
To
of
test
millions of
this,
light years.
astronomers
Its
turn to
existence
deep
has been
radio and
sought,
optical
but
surveys,
not confirmed.
instruments
Others
capable of
propose
detecting
something
galaxies.
deeper, that the
Far
discrepancy
fainter than the
is
naked
not
eye could ever see.
observational at all,
They
but
began
physical.
mapping the Eridanus region,
That the river of space
with the precision of surveyors charting an unknown
currents yet
ocean.
unknown.
One of the
Forces
most
that
powerful
subtly
tools
alter
was
the way it flows at
the
different
Sloan Digital
scales.
Sky Survey,
One
SDSS,
possibility lies
a
in the
long-running
earliest
project to
moments of
image and
creation.
measure
If
millions of
exotic
galaxies
particles
across the
or
sky
fields influence
through
the
its
universe's
spectroscopic
first
maps.
expansion, then
The
the
three-dimensional
cosmic
structure of
microwave
the universe
background may
emerged.
carry a distorted record
Webs and
of the
knots of
river's
galaxies
true
connected by threads of
speed.
matter,
New forms of dark radiation,
interwoven with yawning voids,
perhaps relics of
in
primordial
the direction of the
physics,
cold spot.
could be altering the measurements
SDSS
without
revealed
revealing
something
themselves
extraordinary.
directly.
There was
Another
indeed a
proposal
void,
stretches into the
not
fabric
just any
of dark
void,
energy itself.
but one of the largest
Perhaps
ever recorded.
this unseen force is
It
not
stretched across
constant,
space
but
for
dynamic,
billions of light years,
shifting in strength
an
across
absence so
cosmic
colossal
time. If
that it
dark
dwarfed the
energy
superclusters
evolves,
surrounding it.
the flow of
For a
space-time
time,
may accelerate differently
This seemed like the
depending on
long-sought answer.
where and when
The
it
cold
is
spot
measured.
was the shadow of a
The
supervoid,
implications are profound.
a gravitational
A
hollow
universe
so
where
immense
dark energy changes
that
with
it
the
had bled
universe,
energy from the
where
ancient
the
light
river is
passing
alive.
through it.
Its current
It was a
never
simple,
steady,
elegant
always
explanation,
reshaping itself.
and yet the numbers
Still others
refused to
whisper of
cooperate.
modified gravity.
When the effect of such a void
The
was modeled,
possibility that Einstein's
using the laws
elegant
of general relativity, it fell
theory of
short.
relativity,
The
so
cooling it could
flawless in its
cause
predictions, may yet
was far
conceal
less than the measured
limitations
drop
at
in
the
temperature.
grandest of scales.
The void was there,
If gravity
yes,
itself bends
but it was
differently
not
across
cold
the
enough.
cosmos,
It
the
was like
river's flow
finding the
would
outline of a
naturally defy a
fingerprint,
single measure.
but not the ridges
Each
and
of these
whirls
speculations reaches
that would
into
match
the
it to the
unknown.
culprit.
None
This
have
left
yet
two
prevailed.
possibilities.
And so the Hubble
Either the
tension
cold spot
remains
was partially the
unresolved,
work of the
a
supervoid,
paradox that has
its
turned
chill
cosmology
amplified by
into
some
a
other,
battleground
unknown
of
mechanism,
interpretations.
or the void
What makes
itself
it
was a
haunting is not
consequence,
simply the
a
disagreement,
secondary trace
but what
left
it
by something
suggests.
far stranger.
that the universe
For the
humanity
scientists
inhabits
tracing
may
this
not
absence,
be uniform, but
It was a
layered.
frustrating paradox.
That the river of space-time
The closer
may
they
not
looked,
flow as one current,
the more they
but as
confirmed
many.
that the void was real,
That the very act
and
of
the more they
measuring
doubted it
reality
could be the full
exposes its
explanation.
contradictions,
Still,
as though
the image was
cosmos
haunting,
resists being pinned
a
by
wound
human
in the
numbers.
cosmic web,
For those
a
who
billion
study the
light-year
tension,
chasm in which
the mystery is as much
galaxies were rare
philosophical
and
as
far
physical.
between.
It
From a
forces
human
reckoning
perspective,
with the limits of
it was an
perception.
expanse so large
From a
that the
single
Milky Way
vantage
could
point,
cross it,
on a fragile
and still
planet
not
orbiting
touch its
a
far
small
edge.
star, humanity
lifetime
seeks
of the
to measure
universe.
the infinite.
What
But
force
what
could
if
carve such
infinity has
emptiness?
no single measure?
into the
What if the
fabric of
flow
space.
itself defies the concept
Gravity,
of constancy?
pulling matter into other regions.
In this light,
Random
the
fluctuations
Hubble
from the
tension is
earliest
not merely
quantum
a
fields.
puzzle of astronomy.
Or the
It
aftershock
is a
of something
reminder of the universe's
that brushed
strangeness,
against our
of its
universe long
refusal
ago.
to conform to
The void
expectation.
stood like a silent
It is
witness,
the whisper of hidden
its sheer
physics,
scale
of a
challenging the
river
notion
with depths humanity
that the
has not yet
cosmos was
fathomed.
born perfectly
The
smooth.
galaxies continue
That
their
inflation
drift.
had erased all
Local
such
surveys
irregularities.
refine their numbers.
It was a reminder that
Cosmic
absence is as
background
real
maps
as
grow
presence.
ever sharper.
And
Yet the
sometimes,
two currents,
the missing
the near
pieces
and the
tell the
distant,
deeper story.
remain misaligned.
The
As
scientists
if
mapped
mocking
it
the
from every
idea
angle,
that the cosmos can
cataloging
be neatly
its sparse
contained
galaxies,
in a single value.
measuring their
In the halls of
redshifts,
science,
building
the tension
three-dimensional
is often
models of its
described in
contours.
technical terms.
In their
Error
maps,
bars,
it looked like a
statistical
deep hollow in a
significance,
vast cosmic loaf,
calibration of instruments.
surrounded by
But
filaments of
behind
luminous
those
matter,
equations lies a deeper
as if the
unease.
universe itself
The river does
had
not
inhaled
flow
and
as
left behind a
predicted.
vacuum in its breath.
Its surface
Yet every
shows
simulation,
turbulence. Its depths
every
conceal
calculation,
movements unseen.
return to the same stubborn
Perhaps
truth.
the answer lies just
This
beyond the
supervoid
reach
alone
of present knowledge,
could not make
waiting
the
in
cold
the data
spot what
of
it
the next
was,
great telescope.
somewhere beyond the reach
Perhaps
of their
it
current
lies in a
tools.
new physics
Another
that
layer
will
of
someday
explanation
expand
waited.
Einstein's vision.
Perhaps the void
Or
was just
perhaps
the
it is
surface,
the universe's way of
a visible
reminding
scar
its
hinting at a
passengers
deeper wound.
that the river is older,
And so, the
stranger,
cold spot remained,
and more mysterious
not
than they
just a
can yet
question of
comprehend.
temperature,
Until
but a riddle
then,
of cause and effect.
humanity remains caught
It was
between
not
two
merely a
measures
patch of
time's
sky that
current,
was colder than the
two
rest.
irreconcilable truths.
It was a signpost,
The flow of space
pointing towards something the universe had hidden
is
well.
not the simple
The
stream
next
once
step was not to
imagined,
confirm its
but a
existence.
restless torrent that
That had been
refuses
done.
to reveal its full course.
The next step was to
And the
understand
haunting question lingers.
what could deepen
Is
such
the
a
Hubble
shadow
tension a sign of
in
human
a cosmos
error,
born of light.
or the first glimpse of
In the
hidden
silent
waters
theater of the
running deeper
cosmos,
than all we
even
know?
emptiness has a temperature.
In the language of physics,
The background hum of
it is
creation,
called dark
the cosmic
energy.
microwave background,
In the metaphor
whispers
of the
at just
river, it is the
2.7 degrees
undertow,
above absolute
unseen,
zero.
silent,
Across the
irresistible.
heavens, its variations are
A
subtle,
force
tiny
that does
ripples,
not push
mere
or pull
millions
in
of a
any
degree,
familiar
the
sense,
afterglow of a
but
universe
one
still
that
cooling from
stretches
its
the
violent
fabric
birth.
of reality itself.
But in one direction, that whisper falters.
When astronomers first
A
measured
patch of
the
sky,
acceleration
vast
of
beyond
cosmic
imagination,
expansion in
seems to draw heat from
1998,
reality
they
itself.
expected to find
Its
the
temperature
universe
falls
flowing
far
under
below
the
the
weight of
statistical
its own
murmur
gravity.
expected from the universe's earliest
Instead,
light.
they found the
It
opposite.
is as though the cosmos has
Galaxies speeding
exhaled
away,
and never
the
drawn
river
breath
gaining
again.
momentum.
For a
As if
time,
an
the
invisible
discovery
hand
of an
were
immense
drawing them
void in that
apart.
region promised an
To account
explanation.
for this,
Billions of
physicists
light
gave the
years across,
phenomenon a name,
this supervoid
dark
appeared to be a
energy,
place where galaxies were
a
scarce,
placeholder for
matter was
ignorance,
thin, and
a label for
gravitational
what they could
influence was
not
weak.
explain. Yet
In
behind
such
this
regions,
word lies
the journey
one
of
the
ancient
most
photons
profound
is altered,
realizations
a
in
subtle
human
warping
history,
known as the integrated
that
Sachs-Wolf
70%
effect.
of the universe is
Passing
composed
through
of
low-density
something entirely
expanses,
unknown.
light can lose energy,
The cosmos,
emerging
it
slightly
seems,
cooler than when it entered.
is not built
It was an
primarily
elegant
of stars
idea.
or planets,
But
not
mathematics
even
can
of
be
dark
merciless.
matter's hidden scaffolding.
When astronomers modeled
It
the
is built
expected
of
energy
something
loss
deeper,
from even such a
something
colossal
more
emptiness,
elusive.
the numbers
A
fell
river
short.
flowing beneath all
The predicted
else,
cooling was only a
carrying the
fraction of what
universe
was
outward
measured.
into the abyss.
The cold spot's
Some
temperature
believe
drop
dark
was too
energy
great,
is
too
nothing
deep,
more than the
too
energy
sharp
of
to
the
be
vacuum
explained by this
itself.
mechanism alone.
Quantum
Other voids
field theory
exist across the
suggests
sky.
that even in the emptiness of
None
space,
create a shadow so profound.
fluctuations bubble into and
None
out of
wound the
existence.
fabric of the CMB
Virtual
so deeply.
particles flickering like
The
sparks
failure
on
of the
water.
supervoid hypothesis
These
left a
tiny
lingering
energies,
unease.
some across the
It was as if
infinite
the cold
expanse,
spot itself
should be
resisted
vast
containment
enough
within
to
the
tear
known
the
laws of
universe apart
cosmology.
in an instant.
Each failed
Yet the
explanation
observed
chipped
value
away
of
at the
dark
comfortable
energy
symmetry
is
of the Lambda CDM
incomprehensibly
model,
smaller,
the reigning
as
framework
though
of the
reality
universe.
has been fine-tuned
From here,
to an
speculation
impossible
sharpened
precision.
into something far
This
stranger.
contradiction is called
Some
the
cosmologists
cosmological
began to
constant
entertain a
problem,
possibility that
one
lay
of the
far
greatest
outside the neat
puzzles in
borders of the
theoretical
observable
physics.
universe.
Others
A scenario
imagine a more
whispered about in the
dynamic
equations
force,
of eternal inflation,
quintessence.
the idea that our
Unlike
cosmos
the
is but
static
one
push of
bubble in an
vacuum
endless
energy,
foaming sea of universes.
quintessence would be a rolling
In such a
field,
picture, each
evolving with
bubble has its
time,
own laws,
shaping the
constants,
universe
and
differently
dimensions.
in its youth and in its
And
age.
if, in the deep past,
If true,
our bubble
it
drifted
would
too
mean
close
that the
to
river
another,
itself
the
is
two might have
alive.
brushed against each
Its
other in a
current
cataclysmic
shifting,
embrace.
never steady.
The aftermath
sometimes
of such a
rushing,
cosmic
sometimes
collision could
easy.
leave scars,
This
vast,
would explain why
circular
measurements
anomalies in
of
the
expansion
CMB.
differ across eras.
Places where the fabric of our spacetime
Why the
still
Hubble
carries the
tension
bruise of an
persists.
encounter with something
Why the
utterly
flow
alien.
of space-time seems
Could the
to
cold
resist
spot
a
be such a
single
mark?
definition.
The thought
Still
is
more
both
radical
intoxicating
voices
and
suggest
unsettling.
that dark energy is
If
not a
true,
new
it would mean the
substance at
cold
all,
spot is not
but
merely
a
a
sign
place,
that
it is a
Einstein's theory
message.
of gravity may be incomplete.
A silent testimony that
Perhaps
beyond the
relativity
darkness we can see
describes the
lies
river's
another
surface,
universe,
but
one
not
that
its
once
depths.
touched our own.
Perhaps
The
gravity
evidence,
bends
however,
differently
is
across
slippery.
scales too vast
Simulations
for
of
human
bubble
observation,
collisions predict
and the
patterns that are
acceleration
hauntingly
of
similar to what
galaxies is not
satellites
the
have
work
mapped.
of an unknown energy,
Yet the data
but
remains
the
just
mark of an
ambiguous enough to
unfamiliar
keep the claim
geometry.
unproven. The cold spot
Regardless
could be
of
a
its
cosmic
form,
wound,
the
or a
presence of
statistical
dark
mirage
energy
amplified
has
by the
rewritten
human
the story
desire
of
for
the
meaning in the
cosmos.
void.
It has
And so
turned
the anomaly
expected
remains
arc of
suspended
history,
between
birth,
explanation and mystery.
expansion, slowing
It is neither
collapse
fully claimed
into
by the laws of
something
physics
stranger.
nor surrendered to
A
pure
universe
imagination.
with dark energy
It lives
is
in
a
that
universe
rarefied
that
territory
will
where
never
science
rest.
edges into philosophy,
Its
and where
galaxies
each
are
new
doomed to drift
observation
farther
has the
and
power
farther
to either dissolve
until
the
they fall
enigma or
beyond
deepen
each
it.
other's horizons,
The sky holds its
swallowed by the
silence.
stretching river,
The photons from
lost
the
to
cold
silence.
spot continue to arrive,
The unsettling
unchanged
truth
for
is
nearly
this:
14 billion
all the
years,
stars
their
and
message
all the
intact but
skies,
unreadable.
every spiral of every
In the
galaxy,
end, perhaps the
every
greatest
cluster of
discomfort is
light
not in
visible
what the cold
across the
spot
dark
might
sea.
be, but in what
All
it
of
might
it
mean for the
combined
story of
accounts for
everything.
less than 5%
If it is
of
the
reality.
fingerprint of another universe,
Dark matter
then our
forms
cosmos
the
is not
hidden
the whole,
architecture
only
beneath
one
it,
stanza in a
about
boundless,
25%.
unfinished poem.
And the
If it
remaining
is something else
70%
entirely,
is the
then
dark
our
river,
understanding of space,
invisible,
time, and the afterglow
untouchable,
of creation
and
may
yet
be missing a
inescapable.
chapter still unwritten.
Humanity,
The
then,
cold spot waits,
lives
indifferent
in
to
a
the
universe
questions it
dominated
provokes.
not by the seen,
A pool of
but by
frozen
the
light adrift in
unseen.
the ancient sea, holding within
A
its depths
universe
either the
ruled by
echo of another
currents
world,
that
or
cannot
the
be
reminder that
measured
the universe
directly,
still keeps secrets
only
older than
inferred
time
from
itself.
the way galaxies drift
In the
and
first
light
instant
stretches.
after the birth of the cosmos,
It is as though
there
the
was no
cosmos
gentle
itself
dawn,
is
no
a great
gradual
ocean,
awakening.
and all that is
Instead,
visible
reality
are a few
exploded
scattered
into being,
islands,
and space
while
itself
the
began to
depths
swell,
remain unknown.
not at the speed of light,
What does
but
it
far
mean
faster.
to exist in such a universe?
This was the era
It
cosmologists
means
call
that
inflation.
reality itself may be provisional.
A blindingly brief
that
moment
the
when the
laws
universe
known and
expanded from
trusted are
smaller than an
local
atom to a
rules
size
written on
far
the
beyond
surface
comprehension.
of a much deeper flow.
In less than a trillionth of a
That
second,
existence
quantum
is carried by a
fluctuations
river
were
whose
stretched across
nature
cosmic
remains
scales,
hidden,
seeding the
a current
galaxies
that
and
cannot
stars
be
that would one day
resisted,
ignite.
only followed.
Yet inflation may
In
not have been a
laboratories
singular
and
event.
observatories,
According to certain
scientists
models,
design
it was not
instruments
the
to
birth
probe
of the
this
universe,
force.
but simply a
Projects
universe.
like the Dark Energy
An eternal
Survey,
process,
the
churning
Euclid
out
mission,
countless, bubble
and the Vera
universes
Rubin
within an
Observatory
infinite
aim to
multiverse,
map the
each
subtle
with its own laws
distortions
of
of
physics,
galaxies,
its own
the
histories,
bending of
its
light,
own fates.
the fingerprints of
Most remain
acceleration
forever
itself.
isolated, drifting
Each
in an
attempt is
unreachable
like
ocean of
lowering a
space-time.
fragile lantern into an
But what
endless
if,
depth,
in those earliest
trying
moments,
to glimpse
two
the
of these
undertow
cosmic
that
bubbles
moves
expanded
all
close
things?
enough to touch? The
Yet
mathematics
every
is
discovery
sobering.
seems only to deepen
When
the
universes
mystery.
collide, the
No
event is
direct
not like worlds
detection of
crashing
dark
together.
energy has been made.
It is the very fabric of
particle,
reality intersecting with
no
another
field,
fabric, two
no
spacetimes
interaction has
bleeding into
revealed
one
itself.
another for a fleeting instant.
It remains invisible.
Such a collision would
acting
not destroy
only
our
through the
universe,
expansion of
but it could leave
space-time
behind
itself.
a faint, circular
The
bruise
river
in the
metaphor
afterglow of the
lingers
Big Bang,
because
a
it
distortion
captures
imprinted
something
upon the
essential.
cosmic microwave
Dark
background.
energy is not a storm upon
And so
the
the cold
surface,
spot gains a new
not a wind that
interpretation.
pushes the stars.
Not a quirk of
It
random
is the
chance,
water
not
itself,
even the shadow of a
flowing
vast
faster,
cosmic void, but the
stretching
lingering
wider,
scar of an encounter with
accelerating
another
without
universe.
end.
Some
like a
theoretical
traveler
models
caught in
predict
a
that
current
such
too
collisions
vast
would
to
create
fight,
exactly the kind of
humanity
anomaly
drifts
observed,
along with
a
it,
region of lower
powerless,
temperature, with a subtle
wondering where it
geometric
leads.
symmetry that no ordinary
Some
fluctuation
philosophers
could produce.
suggest this knowledge is humbling.
For those who champion this
It
view, the
reveals
cold
that
spot is
humanity's
more than a
place in
puzzle,
the cosmos
it is a
is
message.
not central but peripheral.
The first tangible sign that our
Adrift in
cosmos
forces
may
too
not be
great to
alone.
command.
That beyond
Others
the limits
find
of
it
the observable
terrifying.
universe lies
A
a
reminder
boundless
that the
expanse,
future may
filled
not
with
hold
other
stability,
realities, forever
but
beyond
only
our
a
reach,
deepening
except for the
isolation.
scars they leave
Galaxies
behind.
vanishing one
But
by
not
one
all
into
are
the
convinced. Many in the scientific community
dark. And yet
urge
there is
caution.
beauty in it too.
The data is
For
precise,
to live
but
at
its
this
meaning
moment
is
in
slippery.
cosmic history is to
Statistical
exist at the
anomalies do
threshold of
occur,
understanding,
and human eyes are trained to find
witness a
patterns,
universe
even where none
whose
exist.
true nature is only beginning to be
Theories of a
glimpsed.
multiverse are tantalizing, but
in
they
the
are
flow of
difficult,
space-time,
perhaps impossible,
a mystery
to
that
test.
challenges not only physics,
And without a way to
but the
confirm
very very
them,
meaning
they
of
remain on the
existence.
boundary between
In
physics
the
and
end,
philosophy.
dark energy is
Still,
both a
the
scientific
possibility
puzzle
endures.
and a
The
philosophical
cold
riddle.
spot sits quietly,
It is the river beneath the
1.8 billion
river,
light-years
the
away in the
invisible
constellation
current that
Eridanus,
drives
its
all
frigid
things
expanse
outward.
unblinking in the sky.
It is the reminder that
It
what
neither
is
confirms
unseen
nor
may yet
denies
be
the
most
dreams of
real,
those who study it.
that what is unknown
It
may yet
simply
be
is,
most
a
powerful.
relic from the dawn,
The
a silent
universe
echo shadow of an event that may have shaken the very structure of creation.
It is
In the
accelerating
darkness,
into
the
silence,
universe continues to
carried by a
expand,
force
each
that
galaxy
cannot be
retreating
named,
into the void.
a current that cannot
If
be
another
stopped.
collision waits in our future,
humanity,
it will come without
for all
warning,
its
written in
knowledge,
the silent
drifts
mathematics of
within it,
inflation.
like a fragile
Until
vessel on
then,
an
the
endless
cold
dark
spot
river,
remains, a
carried
question
toward
painted
a
across the
horizon no
heavens,
eye can
daring
yet
us to
see.
ask whether our universe is truly the
In the
only
grand
one,
expanse
or
of the
merely a
universe,
single bubble in a far
where
greater
galaxies
cosmic
drift
sea.
apart on the accelerating tide
In the
of
vast
dark
silence
energy,
between galaxies,
another kind
an
of
unseen
river
force
flows,
moves with patient
not
certainty.
outward, but inward.
It does not shine,
It is
nor
a
cast a
descent,
shadow.
not a release.
It cannot be captured,
A
nor
plunge into
touched,
darkness,
yet it shapes the
not
fate of
into
the cosmos
silence.
itself.
These are the black
Physicists
holes,
call it dark energy,
local
an
rivers
invisible
carved
pressure
within
woven
the
into the
greater
fabric of
cosmic
space-time,
flow,
stretching the
whirlpools
universe
of
ever outward.
space-time whose currents
Its
lead
discovery
only
was an
one way.
accident of astronomy.
For centuries,
In the late
black
1990s,
holes
two
existed
independent teams
only as
measured the light of
equations,
distant Type Ia
strange solutions
supernovae,
hidden
expecting
in
to find that
Einstein's
cosmic
general
expansion was
relativity.
slowing under the pull of
They
gravity.
suggested that under enough
Instead,
mass,
they found the opposite.
gravity would
The
bend
universe's
space-time
growth was
so
speeding up.
deeply that nothing,
It was
not
as if
even
some
light,
hidden hand were
could
prying the
escape.
galaxies apart,
To many,
faster and
the
faster,
idea was
the farther
absurd.
they drifted.
A mathematical
Today,
curiosity
dark
with
energy
no
is thought
place
to make
in
up roughly
reality.
68%
Yet
of all
the
the
universe
energy
would
in the
prove the
cosmos.
equations correct.
It is not evenly
In the
distributed
river
matter,
model of
nor the cold
space-time,
invisibility
black
of dark
holes
matter, but
become
something
more than
stranger, a
mysterious
property of
points
space
infinite
itself.
density.
In
They
Einstein's
become
equations,
currents,
it resembles the
waterfalls in the
cosmological
cosmic
constant,
river.
a uniform energy
Imagine
density that
space
permeates
itself
all
as
of
water.
space.
At a distance,
Yet the
the
universe's
flow
structure
is
is
gentle,
not perfectly
its
smooth.
current slow.
It is laced with filaments of
But as one
galaxies,
drifts
immense
closer to the
voids,
black
and
hole,
gravitational
the
wells,
pace
a
quickens,
cosmic web
the
where
flow
density and
accelerates,
emptiness dance on
until
scales of
eventually
hundreds
it
of millions of
surpasses
light
all
years.
resistance.
If dark
At
energy
the
is
event
truly
horizon,
a property of space,
the river
could it
exceeds
also
the
be
speed of light.
uneven?
No
Some
boat,
theorists have
no
dared to
particle,
ask.
no photon
Perhaps,
can
in
swim
the deep
against
past,
the tide.
subtle variations
All
in
are
dark
carried
energy
inward,
density form,
not because they are
invisible
pulled,
patches where its
but
repulsive
because the
pressure
river
was slightly
itself is
stronger,
turned
or
downward,
slightly weaker,
faster
than the
than
cosmic
light can
average.
climb.
And
The
if
event
so,
horizon,
these regions
then,
would not merely
is
drift
not a wall in
unnoticed,
space,
they could leave an
but a
imprint on the
boundary in
oldest
the
light
flow.
in existence, the
Outside
cosmic
it,
microwave
escape
background.
remains possible.
The connection is delicate but
Inside,
profound.
all trajectories
Photons
lead
from the
inward.
CMB have
The
traveled more than
geometry of
13 billion
space-time
years to
itself
reach us.
has tilted beyond
Along the
return.
way, their paths are bent and stretched
And
by the
still,
gravitational
the
potential of
metaphor
massive
deepens.
structures, clusters,
Black holes
voids,
are not
and unseen
isolated
dark matter.
falls, but part of the
If they
larger
pass
river
through a
system.
region where dark energy
They grow
density
as
differed from the
galaxies
surrounding
evolve,
space, the
feeding on
expansion
stars,
rate there would also
gas,
differ.
and even
The
other
result,
black holes.
photons could gain or
At
lose
their
a
hearts
tiny
lie the
fraction of their energy,
supermassive black
leaving
holes,
behind faint temperature
billions of
variations in
solar
the
masses
CMB.
wide,
Some
anchoring
simulations
galaxies
suggest that
like
such anomalies
whirlpools
might
around
resemble
which
the cold
stars
spot,
revolve.
an expanse of
Without
microwave
them,
sky slightly cooler
galaxies
than its
may not hold
surroundings,
together.
with a subtle gradient at
In
its
this
edges.
sense, the local
In this
rivers
view,
are not
the cold
destructive
spot is
alone.
not the scar of a
They are
cosmic
also
collision,
created,
nor a random fluke of
shaping the
inflation,
structures
but a
of the
quiet sign
cosmos.
that dark energy is not
Thus,
uniform after
the
all.
river of space-time
That
flows
somewhere
not
in the distant
one
universe,
direction,
a
but
vast
in
zone
many.
exists where the
Outward
very
with
pressure of
dark
space is
energy,
different, as
inward
though the
with
cosmic
black
fabric
holes,
were woven more loosely,
sideways with
or
the
pulled
orbits of
tighter,
stars,
than elsewhere.
curved with the
The
bending
link
of
between
light.
dark energy variations
universe
and
is not a
CMB
still
anomalies
pond, but a
remains
restless,
speculative, yet it
layered
sits
current.
within the framework of known
The terror
physics.
lies in the symmetry.
Large-scale structure already
black
influences the
holes are rivers
CMB through
falling
the integrated
inward,
Sachs-Wolf
and cosmic
effect,
expansion
a
is
shift
a
in
river
photon
flowing
energy
outward.
caused by
Then the
evolving
universe is
gravitational
composed of
potentials
rivers
in an
within
accelerating
rivers,
universe.
flows nested inside
If dark
larger
energy density
flows,
varies across those
currents that
scales,
collide,
its fingerprint could be
overlap,
faintly visible
and
in the
shape
microwave
one
sky.
The
Still,
cosmos,
the evidence
seen
is
in this
elusive.
way, is
The
not
cold
solid,
spot,
not
mapped in
static,
exquisite detail
but
by
fractal in
missions
its
like
motion.
WMAP and Planck,
Consider the
defies
analogy.
easy
A
categorization.
great ocean filled
Its
with
statistical
whirlpools,
significance is
tides,
debated.
and
Its
undertows.
exact cause remains hidden
Each
behind
black
the veil
hole
of
is a
cosmic
whirlpool,
variance.
where the
And
flow
dark energy
collapses
itself,
inward.
despite decades
Each
of
galaxy
observation,
is a raft
remains a
carried by
cipher.
cosmic expansion.
No laboratory experiment
Each
has yet
cluster of
measured its
galaxies
nature
drifts
directly.
apart on the rising tide.
It could be constant,
And beneath
unchanging
it
for all eternity.
the dark river of energy
Or it could evolve
stretches
with
the sea
time,
itself,
shifting in strength
widening
as the
the
cosmos
horizon,
expands,
carrying
leaving behind
everything
regional
into silence.
imbalances that only the
The
oldest light
structure
can
of
reveal.
space-time, then,
To imagine
is
such a
less like a
possibility is to
fabric
picture
and
the
more like a
universe not as a
fluid,
perfectly smooth
less
balloon,
like a
but as a
stage,
sea with
more
gentle
like a
swells and
stream.
troughs in its
The
invisible currents.
philosophical implications echo
Across billions of
human
light
thought.
years, these currents may guide the
If
flow of
black
cosmic
holes are
expansion,
rivers,
shaping the
and the
tapestry
universe
of
itself
galaxies
is a
while
river,
leaving faint
then
whispers in the
reality may
microwave
not be a
afterglow.
place at all, but
The
a
cold
process,
spot may be one
a
such
flow
whisper,
without a
a
final
region where the
destination.
expansion of space itself has a
Humanity,
slightly different
too,
rhythm.
drifts within
A
these
place where
currents.
photons, born
Every
in the fire of
heartbeat,
the Big Bang,
every life,
pass through a zone of
every
altered space-time
civilization
pressure,
is carried
and
on the
arrived a
same
little
stream,
colder than the rest.
whether into expansion
Whether this
or into
interpretation is
collapse.
truth or illusion,
And
it
still,
adds a layer of
the
quiet
mystery
mystery
remains
to an
complete.
already enigmatic patch of
No eye
sky.
can see past the horizon.
For if dark energy is not
No signal
uniform,
can
the story
return.
of cosmic acceleration becomes
singularity,
far richer
if it
and
exists,
far stranger
is
than
forever
we now
hidden.
imagine.
Black holes
It would mean that
remind
even
us
in the
that
invisible
there are
realm of
boundaries to
space-time's own
knowledge,
energy, the
edges
universe
beyond
bears
which
scars of
even the
ancient
brightest
asymmetry,
light cannot
written not
carry
in stars or matter, but
They
in
are
the
the
restless
universe's
expansion
way
of the
of
void
showing that
itself.
some doors,
And
once
somewhere,
crossed,
beyond all
never
reach,
open
the
again.
cause of that
In
asymmetry
this
may still
vision,
be
the
unfolding.
cosmos is not one river,
In the slow,
but many
patient language of
rivers
eternity.
within rivers.
In the cold,
Currents
silent
inside
depths of
currents.
space, the afterglow
Flows
of the Big
nested
Bang
in
still
flows.
whispers.
From the
It is
smallest
faint,
particle to the
stretched thin
largest
by billions
cluster
of years of
galaxies.
expansion, now bathing
And
the
the black
universe in a nearly
holes,
uniform sea
silent
of
and
microwaves,
implacable,
the cosmic
are the most
microwave
profound
background, or
reminders of all.
CMB. Hidden within that ancient
space-time
light are
is
subtle
not
temperature
fixed, but
ripples,
forever
tiny
moving,
scars and bruises
forever
that tell the
carrying,
story of a young
forever
cosmos.
The
Among
great
them,
river of
one
the
stands
universe
apart,
does not
the
flow
cold spot.
evenly.
To
It
investigate
swirls,
it, humanity has built
accelerates,
its own
it
eyes in the dark,
collapses,
instruments
it
of
divides.
astonishing sensitivity,
It hides
each a sentinel
whirlpools
in
in
our
the
quest to
dark.
chart the universe's
And in
most
those
elusive
whirlpools,
patterns.
space-time
The Planck
itself
satellite,
falls,
launched by the
faster than
European
light,
Space Agency in
deeper than
2009, was
into the
humanity's
silence
sharpest
from which
vision
no
into this
return
primordial
is.
light. Orbiting at the Sun, Earth
Is
Lagrange
possible.
Point 2, far from
In
the
the
thermal
deepest
noise of
history
Earth,
of the cosmos,
Planck mapped the CMB
before
across
stars
the entire
ignited,
sky with
before
unprecedented
galaxies
precision.
spiraled,
It did
before
not
even
simply
atoms
see
were
hot and
bound
cold.
together, the river of
It revealed a
space-time
tapestry of
surged
temperature
with a violence
variations measured
beyond
to millionths of a
imagination.
degree.
In less
From
than
its
a
data,
heartbeat,
the cold
the
spot
universe
emerged,
swelled from subatomic
with startling clarity,
scales to
confirming
cosmic
what
threads.
earlier, less
A
sensitive
storm of
missions had hinted
expansion
at.
so rapid
This was no
that
observational
distances
error.
doubled faster than
The
light
anomaly
itself
was real,
could ever travel.
and it was
This
profound.
moment is known as
But the
cosmic
story did not
inflation,
end in space.
a flood without parallel.
On Earth, two of the
When
most
the river of
advanced
reality
ground-based
itself roared
observatories
outward
continued to
in a
watch,
cascade
the
too
Atacama
sudden,
Cosmology
too immense
Telescope in the high
for
deserts
human
of Chile,
thought to
and the
fully
South Pole
contain.
Telescope,
The
perched in
theory
the
of
most remote and
inflation
frigid
emerged
place on
in
the
the
planet.
early 1980s.
The thin,
as
dry air at
physicists
these
sought to
locations stripped
explain
away much of
puzzles
the atmospheric
that the Big
interference
Bang
that
alone
blinds
could
ordinary
not solve.
telescopes.
Why was the
From
universe
these frozen
so
and parched
smooth,
vantage points,
so uniform,
scientists could focus
across
on the same patch of
distances that
sky,
light had never
teasing
had
apart
time
its
to
faint
cross?
microwaves, searching
Why
for
were the
patterns in the
stars and
polarization of light,
galaxies arranged
patterns
with
that
such
might betray
striking
gravitational
consistency,
imprints or
as
lensing
if the
effects from
cosmos
massive
had
cosmic
been stretched
structures
like
in the cold
fabric
spot's
under
path?
even tension?
Yet, the microwaves
The answer,
themselves could only tell part of
proposed
the
by
story.
Alan Guth and refined by
To
others,
truly understand whether
was
the
that
cold
the
spot
universe
was
had
shaped by an
undergone
immense
an
cosmic void,
unimaginable
or
growth
something
spurt in
stranger
its
still,
first fraction
astronomers
of a
needed to
second.
map not just the
In
ancient
this
light,
picture,
but the
the
galaxies
river
and
of
dark matter that
space-time did
populate
not
the vast
begin as a
space between
trickle,
us and that distant
but as a
star.
torrent,
Here,
doubling in
a new
scale
generation
again
of survey
and
instruments
again in a
steps
frenzy
forward.
of expansion.
The Large Synoptic
Within
Survey
less than a
Telescope,
trillionth
reborn
of a
as the
trillionth
Vera
of a
C.
second,
Rubin
the
Observatory,
universe had
is
become
poised to
vast,
transform cosmic
smoothed of
cartography.
irregularities,
Its
cooled
sweeping,
enough for matter
repeated
and
scans of
light
the
to
sky will
emerge.
capture billions of
In
galaxies,
this way,
revealing the
inflation
cosmic web in
explained
extraordinary
not only
detail.
the order of the cosmos,
With each
but also
observation,
its
it
very
will track the
structure.
motions and clustering
The
of these
galaxies that
galaxies,
we now
the
see
visible
as
threads in a
islands of
much
stars
larger,
were once
invisible
ripples
tapestry
in that
woven from
primordial
dark matter
flood.
and dark energy.
Quantum fluctuations
The cold
stretched
spot
into
lies in a
cosmic
region where this
waves.
tapestry appears
The river
sparse,
had not
a possible
flowed smoothly.
supervoid, hundreds of
It had
millions of
carried
light
within
years
it tiny
across.
disturbances,
To measure it,
seeds
astronomers
that would
turn
later
to
become
gravitational
suns,
lensing.
planets, and the
In this
foundations of life
phenomenon,
itself.
massive concentrations of
But
matter
like all
warp the
rivers,
fabric of spacetime,
inflation
bending the
carried
path
with
of
it a
light from
darker
background
possibility.
galaxies.
The
By
mechanism
studying how
driving
galaxy shapes
the
appear subtly
so-called false
stretched or
vacuum
distorted, researchers can
was
reconstruct the
not a
underlying
stable
mass
bedrock,
distribution,
but
even
a
for matter that
precarious
emits no
plateau
light.
in the quantum landscape.
In the cold spots direction,
Just as
lensing
water
surveys
resting
paint
on
an
a ridge
unsettling
can suddenly
picture.
spill downward into a
Yes,
valley,
there is a
the
deficit of
vacuum
matter,
of
an
space-time
enormous
could,
region
in
unusually
theory,
empty of
collapse.
galaxies, but not
If
empty
such
enough
a
to
decay
fully account for
occurred,
the temperature
the
drop
river
seen
would
in the
not merely
CMB.
accelerate.
The void is
It would
there,
rewrite
and
its
yet the
course
cold remains
entirely.
deeper than it should be,
This is
as
the
though some
fear of
other
false
unseen
vacuum
hand has
decay.
pressed upon this part of the
If the
cosmic
universe
fabric.
resides in a
While
temporary
current
state of
instruments probe the
stability,
cold spot
it
with
could,
remarkable skill,
without
the next
warning,
decades will
collapse
bring new
into a
tools,
lower,
each
truer
capable of
vacuum.
peeling back another layer
Such
of
a
the mystery.
collapse would unleash a bubble
Future
of new
space
physics,
missions, successors to
expanding
Planck,
outward at the speed of light,
are being designed to map
annihilating
the
everything
CMB
in
with
its
even
path.
higher resolution,
Inside
capturing
the
finer
bubble,
polarization
the
patterns
laws
that
of
could
physics
hint at early
themselves would
universe
be
collisions or
rewritten.
gravitational
The
waves from the
constants
dawn
of
of time.
nature, the strength
Deep
of
radio
gravity,
observatories,
the charge
like
of
the
the
Square
electron,
Kilometer Array,
the
will
flow
scan
of time
hydrogen
itself
signals from the first
would be
billion years
altered,
after the Big
perhaps
Bang,
beyond
offering a new
recognition.
backdrop against which the cold spot
Outside,
might be
there
examined.
would be no warning.
If the cold
No
spot is a
signal
mark
would
left by
arrive
the
before
ordinary,
the end.
by the slow flow of matter under gravity,
In this
by
chilling
the
vision,
uneven push of dark
the river
energy,
does not
then these
simply carry
instruments
us
will
forward.
reveal the pattern in the noise,
ends.
the logic in the scar.
It falls into a hidden
But if it is
channel,
extraordinary,
erasing
if
the
it is
one
the
we
footprint
know,
of a collision between
leaving no
universes,
trace of what
or a
came
relic
before.
of physics beyond the reach of
A
our current
universe
theories,
overwritten,
then each new
its memory
dataset will
lost
only
in
deepen the
silence.
wonder and the unease.
Yet physicists,
For now, the
while
cold
humbled
spot
by this
remains suspended in
possibility,
uncertainty,
also
a quiet
glimpse a
anomaly
profound
etched into the
expansion
oldest
of
light.
imagination.
And the
For
eyes of our
inflation
instruments,
suggests
on
not only
mountaintops,
one
in
river,
deserts, at
but
the
countless
poles,
rivers
and drifting
branching
far
from
beyond the
quantum
moon,
fluctuation.
remain fixed upon it,
In some
patient and
versions of the
unblinking.
theory, inflation
Because
never
in
fully
that small
ends.
patch of sky, in
While
a region where
regions
the
like our
galaxies
own
thin
bubble
and the light
stabilize,
cools, there may be
others
a truth
continue
about
to
reality
inflate,
that will rewrite the
birthing
very
new
edges of the
universes
known.
like droplets
The
cast
search
from
continues.
a storm.
The
This
cold
is the
spot
multiverse,
waits.
an endless
In the great
cascade of
cartography of the
streams,
cosmos,
some
the cold
stillborn,
spot remains an
some
ink stain
infinite,
on the
each
parchment,
with its
a place
own
where the
laws,
universe whispers
its
something it
own
refuses
physics,
to explain.
its own story.
Its temperature is
In
lower
this
than
vision,
theory allows.
Our universe is
Its
not
outline,
unique.
more defined
It
than
is a
chance would
single
predict.
current in a flood of
Astronomers
unseen
have mapped
waters,
it, measured
hidden
it,
behind
dissected it
horizons
with
we can never
mathematics and light.
cross. The
Yet
galaxies
beneath the
we
data
see
lies
are
a
but
simple
one
truth:
shoreline
it
of
should
a
not be
boundless
this cold.
ocean, where other
Theories
rivers
have
roar
bloomed and
unseen.
withered in its shadow.
Some
Some
universes
imagine
may
a massive
collapse
super
swiftly,
void, stretching
their
billions
rivers
of light years,
evaporating in
sapping
silence.
energy from ancient
Others
photons.
may expand eternally.
Others invoke the
Their
ripples of a
currents so
cosmic
alien
collision,
that life,
a bruise
as we
left when
know
our
it, could
universe
never
brushed
emerge.
against another in the chaotic
Still
newborn
others
moments
may
of
mirror
inflation.
our own parallel
There are
flows,
those who
repeating
wonder if it is
same
the fingerprint of
patterns,
something even
the same
stranger,
histories,
a relic from before
and
time,
infinite
a scar from
variation.
an event the Big Bang
The
could not
mathematics
erase.
does not confirm this
Coldness,
vision,
in the language
nor
of the
can
cosmos,
observation
is
easily
absence.
reach beyond our
A
horizon.
place where motion
But
slows,
the imagery
where
it
energy
provokes
thins.
lingers.
And in the
Humanity
far
adrift
future,
on one
it is
current
coldness
among
that will
many,
rule.
blind to the
Stars
greater
will
flood,
gutter out.
yet aware enough
Galaxies
to
will
wonder.
fade.
This vision
Heat
raises
death, the
haunting
final
questions.
silence, will stretch across
If the
an infinite
multiverse
dark.
exists,
The
what
cold
does it
spot
mean
is
to
not
speak
that
of
ending,
reality at
but
all?
it is a foreshadow.
Are we residents
A
of
reminder
a
that the
singular
warmth
universe,
of creation is
or
fleeting, and the
passengers on a
night,
river
in the
chosen
end,
by
always
chance among
wins.
endless possible
For all
flows?
its silence, the
Does
cold spot
consciousness
speaks to
arise
something
only
deep in the
a
human
narrow
mind.
band of currents,
The fragile
leaving
awareness
both
that life is
universes
an
barren,
exception, not the
silent,
rule.
and unseen?
That consciousness blooms only in a
Or is
thin band
awareness
of time
itself
and
a
temperature,
pattern
a narrow
that
window
recurs
between the
again
furnace
and
of
again
beginnings and the
in
frost of
countless
endings?
streams, each
If our
rediscovering
universe is
the
a
same
grand
truths,
experiment, then
the same
anomalies like the
questions,
cold
the
spot are
same
its
wonder?
marginal notes.
The philosophical weight
The scribbles
is
in
immense.
the edge of the page that
The
hint at
multiverse
meanings
does
never
not
fully
comfort.
revealed.
It does not
Perhaps it
promise
is nothing
meaning.
more than a statistical
It
fluke,
suggests
a
instead
cosmic
cosmos
coincidence born
without
of random
center,
clustering.
without privilege,
Yet even
without
then,
design,
its power
a
remains.
flood without boundary,
For meaning is
where
not
all
only in what
possible
is
rivers
true,
are real,
but in what
yet
compels us
none
to
is
look
special.
deeper.
In
The cold
such a
spot
vision,
forces the gaze
humanity
outward,
becomes
past the
both
safe certainties of the
infinitesimal
known,
and
into the
inevitable,
unlit corridors
small
of
beyond
possibility.
measure, yet
If it is
guaranteed
real,
by the
if it is a
sheer
wound
enormity
from a
of
universe
possibility.
beyond our own, then
And
it is
so
a
the
message.
river metaphor stretches
Not
to
in
its
words,
breaking
but in
point.
silence.
Inflation
A
is not
reminder
a
that our
single
reality
current,
may be
but
only
an
one
ocean
room in a
storm,
mansion of endless
birthing
halls,
torrents
each with its
without
own
end.
physics, its own
False
story,
vacuum decay
its own
is
birth
the
and
hidden
death.
whirlpool.
To
ready
glimpse
to
the
pull
cold
one
spot is
stream
to
into
stand at a locked
nothingness.
door, feeling the
The
draft from a
multiverse
place
is the
we cannot
delta,
yet enter.
a spreading fan
Its
of
symbolism
countless
is heavy.
channels, flowing
Cold as
outward
the
into
echo
the
of
darkness
creation
beyond
fading into
sight.
distance. Cold as the absence of stars,
Physicists
the absence
wrestle
of
with
light,
these
the
ideas
absence
not
of life.
because they are certain,
And yet,
but because
in
they
that
are
absence,
consistent with
there
what
is
little
beauty.
is known.
For
The
coldness
cosmic
means
microwave
contrast.
background,
It
the
means there
ancient
was
light
once heat,
stretched
once
across the
light,
heavens,
once motion.
bears the
The
fingerprints
cold spot
of
is not a
inflation,
void in the human
the
sense, it
distribution
is
of
filled
galaxies,
with photons,
the
galaxies,
subtle ripples
and
in their
structure.
clustering, aligns
But
with the
compared to its
predictions of a
surroundings, it
primordial
is subdued,
flood.
as if the
The
cosmic music
mathematics
there
of
has dropped
quantum
into a
fields
lower
hints
key.
at false vacuums,
Physicists still
unstable
argue.
plateaus,
The instruments,
landscapes
from
of
Code to
potential where
WMAP
universes
to
can
Planck,
fall,
confirm
or
its presence,
rise,
but offer
or
no
branch.
consensus on its cause.
And so, though
Upcoming
unproven,
surveys,
these
mapping
visions
galaxies
remain.
and gravitational
They are
lensing
not
in exquisite
fantasy,
detail, may
but
sharpen the picture.
speculation grounded in the
Or they may
equations
not.
that already govern what
Some
is
mysteries
seen.
are not undone by
They are
sharper
maps of
images,
rivers we
they
cannot
simply
yet
grow
sail,
stranger.
but whose
In the
currents
face
may
of
one
uncertainty,
day touch
the
our
cold
own.
spot becomes a mirror.
In the end, the
It
imagery
reflects not
becomes
only the
almost
universe's
mythic.
secrets, but our own
Humanity
hunger for
drifts
understanding.
on a current born from
The
inflation's
human
first
species has
surge.
always read the sky like
Its
a book.
waters carry galaxies
The constellations were once
its
gods and
ripples seed
heroes.
stars.
Comets
Its
were
flow
omens.
defines time itself.
Now, our myths are written in
Yet
microwave
beneath the
photons and
surface
gravitational
lies the
waves,
possibility
but
of
the
collapse,
impulse is the
of
same,
rivers
to weave
ending,
meaning from
of
patterns in the
currents
dark.
overridden.
If the
And
cold
beyond the
spot is a
horizon
message
may
from
lie
another
rivers
epoch,
uncounted,
what does it say?
streams parallel,
Perhaps nothing.
oceans infinite.
Perhaps everything.
The mystery remains not only
Perhaps only that the
scientific,
universe
but
is larger than we are capable of
Are we
imagining.
residents of a fragile
That even in an
stream,
ocean of trillions
doomed
of
to fall into
galaxies,
silence?
there are rare places that make
or
us
are we
pause,
participants
look
in a
again,
vast
and
and
wonder.
eternal flood?
In its
One
depths,
among
one may
infinite
feel an
rivers whose
echo of the
stories
earliest
stretch
days,
beyond
when matter
imagination.
condensed out of energy,
The answers
when light
remain
broke
hidden,
free from the
yet
fog
the
of the
questions
primordial
endure.
plasma, when the
For
universe's
in
first breath was
contemplating
still warm.
inflation, false
That warmth has been
vacuums,
traveling
and
ever
the
since,
multiverse,
stretched thin by
humanity is reminded
expansion,
that the
cooled
river
by
it
time.
sails may not be the
The
only
cold spot
one,
is part of that
and
story,
that in the
but it
unseen
also stands
waters
apart,
beyond,
an outlier in the
countless
background
other
hum.
currents may flow,
And so it waits,
forever unseen,
13.8 billion
forever
years distant,
unknown.
existing whether
To
we
glimpse
understand
the
it
river
or
of
not.
space-time is to look
Perhaps
for what
it is
cannot
just
be
physics.
seen. Its
Perhaps
current
it is a fracture
invisible,
between
silent,
worlds.
untouchable.
Or perhaps,
Yet
and this may be
humanity,
its most important
restless
truth,
and
it is simply a reminder
has
that the
built
universe will
machines of
never be
glass,
fully mapped.
metal, and
For in the
mathematics
vast
to
silence
sense
of the
faintest
cosmos,
whispers
there are
of its
whispers.
flow.
Whispers of beginnings.
Telescopes, colliders,
Whispers of
and
endings.
surveys are cast like
Whispers
nets
that
into
speak
the dark,
not to the ear,
hoping
but to
to
the
catch
deep,
fragments
restless
of the
part of the
unseen.
mind that knows how small
Each
we are.
device is not merely
And
a
some
tool,
of those whispers
but an extension of
are
curiosity
colder than time itself.
An eye, an ear, a hand reaching into the cosmic flood. The Hubble Space Telescope, launched in 1990, became the first true sentinel of the modern cosmic river. Suspended high above the turbulence of Earth's atmosphere, it revealed galaxies drifting farther away, their light stretched thin, like echoes carried down a current. By peering deeper than any instrument before it, Hubble transformed the night sky into a record of spacetime's expansion. Each faint smudge of starlight became a message from the past, a marker of how the river once flowed. But even Hubble could not pierce the veil of earliest light. To do so required another sentinel, more powerful, more finely tuned, the James Webb Space Telescope. With its golden mirrors unfolding in the cold of space, Webb was designed not just to see farther, but to see older. It looks for the first galaxies, the faint embers of cosmic dawn, whose light has been stretched by billions of years of expansion. In Webb's images, astronomers search for evidence of how the current first accelerated, how dark energy began to take hold, and how the flow of spacetime sculpted the earliest structures of the universe. Soon, another eye would join the watch, the Hubble Space Telescope, launched by the European Space Agency. Unlike Webb, Euclid is not focused on the beauty of galaxies themselves, but on their positions, their clustering, their subtle distortions. By measuring how galaxies are arranged across billions of light years, Euclid seeks to map the geometry of spacetime, as if tracing the currents of a river by following the leaves that drift upon it. With Euclid's maps, scientists hope to understand whether dark energy is constant, or whether its strength shifts with time, like a tide rising and falling in the deep. Yet telescopes are only half of the story. For beneath the surface of the cosmic river lies another mystery, the quantum fields that may give rise to dark energy itself. To touch these hidden layers requires not lenses but collisions. At the Large Hadron Collider near Geneva, protons are hurled at nearly the speed of light and smashed together, their energy unraveling the fabric of reality for the briefest instant. From this chaos, particles emerge, some predicted, some surprising, all carrying whispers of the deeper order. With the discovery of the Higgs boson in 2012, physicists confirmed the existence of the field that gives mass to matter. But the Higgs also raises a haunting question. Why is the vacuum energy associated with it so vastly smaller than theory predicts? This puzzle is no minor discrepancy. The predicted energy density of the vacuum is greater than observation by a factor of 10 superscript 1 superscript 2, the most extreme mismatch between theory and reality in all of physics. Somewhere in this abyss of numbers lies the key to dark energy. The collider cannot yet answer it, but every new particle ruled out, every symmetry tested, sharpens the outline of the unknown. It is as though humanity is digging beneath the river's surface, seeking the hidden bedrock that drives the flow. Beyond the laboratory, the river is mapped by cosmic surveys. The Sloan Digital Sky Survey, begun in 2000, has charted millions of galaxies across vast stretches of space. From its maps, patterns emerge, filaments and voids, clusters and walls, a structure known as the cosmic web. These galaxies are like driftwood on the river's surface, carried not by their own momentum, but by the current of expansion itself. By studying their arrangement, astronomers measure not only where the river flows, but how its speed has changed across billions of years. Each survey sharpens the mystery. The galaxies do not lie where simple gravity alone would place them. They are shifted, stretched, displaced, their motion betraying an invisible hand. That hand is dark energy, reshaping the current, rewriting the map. And still, the instruments grow more ambitious. In the coming years, the Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope will rise into orbit. Unlike Hubble or Webb, Roman's purpose is not detail but scale. Its field of view is 100 times larger than Hubble's, allowing it to image vast swaths of the cosmos at once. Roman will chart the distribution of galaxies with unprecedented precision, tracing the river's current across distances and epochs never before measured. It will search for subtle distortions caused by gravitational lensing, the bending of light by matter, a phenomenon that reveals both the visible galaxies and the invisible dark energy that carries them. Meanwhile, a new class of instruments will not only see the river, but listen to it. Gravitational wave detectors such as LIGO, Virgo, and CAGRA have already captured the ripples from colliding black holes and neutron stars. But future detectors, like LISA, the Laser Interferometer Space Antenna, will float in space, listening for deeper, slower waves. These cosmic tremors may reveal how space-time itself flows, not just in violent bursts, but in its quiet, ceaseless current. If dark energy shifts or stirs, gravitational waves may carry its signature, like vibrations carried downstream in a hidden tide. Together, these instruments form a flotilla of human invention, adrift on the cosmic river. Telescopes gaze outward, colliders probe inward, surveys map the surface, and detectors listen for the silent music of space-time. Each is a fragment of a greater effort, a symphony of inquiry reaching toward the same unseen force. And yet, the truth remains elusive. Dark energy, the undertow of the cosmos, continues to resist direct detection. Its essence is inferred, not touched. It bends galaxies, stretches light, shifts the future of the universe itself, yet it hides from every lens, every collider, every chart. It is like a river heard in the darkness, its roar undeniable, yet its waters forever unseen. Philosophically, this pursuit raises a question as old as science itself. What does it mean to measure the immeasurable? To chart the invisible? Each new instrument pushes the horizon farther. Each discovery reveals deeper questions. Humanity builds these machines not only to solve equations, but to know its place in the flood. To understand whether the river of space-time is calm or unstable, endless or doomed to collapse, solitary or one among countless streams. The telescopes, colliders, and detectors are not merely machines. They are the eyes of a species learning to see its own current. They are the ears of a civilization straining to hear the whispers of the flood. And they are the hands of a fragile life form reaching into the dark, tracing the outline of the river that has carried it since the dawn of time. For the current flows, whether known or not. The question is whether humanity can learn enough, soon enough, to glimpse its true nature before the river carries it beyond all shores, into the silence where only space-time itself remembers. The universe has always been imagined as a story with an ending. For centuries, philosophers, poets, and scientists assumed that time itself must close like a book, that stars would burn out, that galaxies would slow, that gravity would one day pull everything back together. The cosmos was pictured as a cycle, a heartbeat, a pulse that would rise and fall forever. But with the discovery of dark energy, that vision shattered. The river of space-time, once thought to calm and perhaps reverse, was revealed to be accelerating, a current that grows faster with distance, stronger with time. The deeper the cosmos is studied, the clearer the question becomes: where does this river lead? Three great visions of fate dominate the scientific imagination. The first is known as the Big Freeze. In this scenario, dark energy continues to accelerate the expansion, but does not increase its strength. Galaxies grow farther and farther apart until their light no longer reaches one another. Stars burn out, black holes evaporate, and the universe grows darker with each passing eon. Trillions of years into the future, matter itself decays, leaving only the thinnest whisper of particles scattered across an infinite, frozen void. Time still flows, but it flows into silence. The river continues forever, but its waters become thin, cold, and lifeless. The second is far more violent, the Big Rip. If dark energy is not constant, but grows stronger with time, then its current may one day overwhelm all other forces. First, it will tear apart galaxy clusters, then galaxies themselves, then solar systems. In the final stages, even atoms will be unbound, their particles ripped from one another by the relentless pull of expansion. The river, in this vision, does not simply flow. It becomes a torrent, infinite and unstoppable, shredding every structure in the cosmos until nothing remains. Space-time itself would be torn apart, the current no longer a background, but the final destroyer. The third vision is stranger still, eternal inflation. According to this idea, the rapid expansion that gave birth to the universe never truly ended. Our cosmos is but a bubble in a sea of inflating space, a single eddy in an infinite river. New universes may be born constantly, branching and flowing outward, some expanding faster, some collapsing, some perhaps never forming structure at all. If this is true, then the fate of this river is not an ending, but a merging, our cosmos dissolving into the larger flood of a multiverse, our current vanishing into countless others. Each theory is rooted in science, yet none can be proven. The Big Freeze emerges from the steady measurements of expansion, distant supernovae, the cosmic microwave background, the clustering of galaxies. The Big Rip arises from speculation that dark energy may not be constant, but dynamic, a phantom energy with values that shift across time. Eternal inflation emerges from quantum field theory, from the mathematics of false vacuums, and the physics of the earliest moments after the Big Bang. And yet, despite their differences, each carries the same haunting truth: the river has no safe harbor. There is no cosmic shore, no final island where time will rest. Instead, there is only flow, onward, outward, into silence or destruction or infinity. The scale of these visions stretches imagination itself. In the Big Freeze, the night sky slowly empties. Galaxies fade from view until only the faint glow of local stars remains. Over trillions of years, even those lights go dark, leaving only black dwarfs, the frozen remnants of once brilliant suns. After quadrillions of years, even those fade, and black holes dominate. In time, even black holes evaporate through Hawking radiation, leaking their mass into the void. The river slows, but never ends, carrying only fragments of particles toward an eternal horizon. In the Big Rip, the timeline is shorter and more catastrophic. If dark energy strengthens, galaxies may be torn apart billions of years from now. Solar systems may unravel in mere millions of years after that. In the final seconds, even atoms cannot resist. Electrons torn from nuclei, protons shattered, quarks ripped apart. Time itself ends as the fabric that carries it is destroyed. The river does not fade into silence. It plunges into nothingness, as though a waterfall swallows it whole. In eternal inflation, the fate is not singular but infinite. While our own universe drifts, countless others bubble into existence elsewhere in the inflating expanse. Some may freeze, some may rip, some may collapse. In this vision, the river that carries humanity is just one of countless streams, branching and merging, forever multiplying. Here, fate is not about endings, but about perspective, about realizing that what seems final is only local, only one current among a vast ocean. For humanity, these visions are more than predictions. They are mirrors, reflecting the fragility of existence. The Big Freeze suggests a future where every memory, every story, every spark of life is lost not in violence, but in silence. The Big Rip suggests an ending so complete that even the concept of structure ceases to exist. Eternal inflation suggests a reality where even the universe itself is temporary, a fleeting ripple in an infinite sea. And yet, within this haunting imagery, there is a profound truth. These scenarios remind humanity that it is not the master of the cosmos, but its passenger, that life, planets, galaxies, even atoms themselves are temporary shapes formed by the river's current, that everything known, everything loved, is part of a flow that began long before, and will continue long after. Philosophically, the image is devastating yet beautiful. Imagine the river of space-time stretching outward, infinite and unyielding. Imagine galaxies as lanterns carried downstream, their light glowing for a time, then fading, until the river runs dark. Imagine the possibility that this current is not singular, but one among countless hidden waters, all flowing, all branching, all vanishing. The haunting question is not simply what the universe's fate will be, but what fate itself means. If everything ends in silence, does meaning vanish with it? If everything is ripped apart, does permanence ever exist? If countless rivers flow, does uniqueness matter at all? Science does not answer these questions, but it frames them. It reveals that the cosmos is not static, not eternal in the way once believed. It is dynamic, restless, flowing, always changing, always carrying forward. The universe itself is a journey, and like every journey, it leads somewhere. In the end, the fate of the river is unknowable, at least for now. Observations grow sharper, theories deepen, instruments reach farther, but the horizon of ultimate destiny remains hidden. Perhaps dark energy is constant, and the freeze awaits. Perhaps it grows, and the rip is inevitable. Perhaps the multiverse is real, and this stream is only one among many. What remains is the image, the river flowing into the unknown. Galaxies carried like driftwood, stars burning like brief sparks, planets turning like eddies in the current. And humanity, fragile, fleeting, yet aware, a species that has looked at the flow and asked, where does it lead? The haunting possibility is that the river ends in silence, so absolute that even time dissolves. That not even memory, not even possibility, survives the plunge. And yet, until that day, the river carries forward, and within its current burns the strange, brief light of awareness. A universe that knows itself, even as it drifts toward the dark. In the silence of the cosmos, humanity is small. One planet circling one star, inside one galaxy among trillions. A brief flicker of life on a rock adrift in a river that began long before its birth and will continue long after its end. From a cosmic perspective, the scale is crushing. Stars are born and die without witness. Galaxies collide, merge, and vanish into darkness with no record. Black holes swallow suns, and time itself bends and slows near their horizons. Against such immensity, human existence seems less than a whisper, less than a ripple on the river's vast surface. And yet, despite such insignificance, there is a paradox. Within this fleeting ripple, the cosmos has found a way to look back at itself. Within fragile minds of flesh and electricity, the river reflects upon its own currents. Awareness, however small, burns brightly against the void. To glimpse the river, humanity builds vessels as fragile as paper lanterns. Telescopes launched into orbit peer across billions of light years, collecting photons that began their journey before Earth itself was born. Equations written on chalkboards capture the unseen shapes of space-time, curving into symbols that describe the bending of light, the flow of galaxies, the acceleration of expansion. Supercomputers simulate universes inside themselves, mapping dark matter, dark energy, and the unseen scaffolding of the cosmic web. Each instrument is delicate, temporary, imperfect. And yet, together, they form a fleet, humanity's armada against the unknown. With them, the species drifts farther into understanding, charting the currents of a river it cannot control, cannot escape, but cannot stop searching. The image recalls another time, long before telescopes or theories. Ancient sailors once stood at the edge of seas, gazing into horizons that seemed infinite. The ocean stretched beyond sight, indifferent, silent, unmapped. Yet they built fragile vessels of wood and cloth, trusting currents they did not understand, winds they could not command. They set sail without knowing where the waters led. The modern quest is not so different. The universe is the ocean now, and galaxies are its distant shores. Space itself is the current, invisible yet irresistible. The telescopes are sails, the equations are compasses, the simulations are maps drawn in the dark. And though no final destination can yet be seen, the voyage continues, propelled by the same instinct that once drove sailors into uncharted waters. The refusal to remain blind, the hunger to know. The river itself is indifferent. It does not care for meaning, for struggle, for survival. It flows whether galaxies collapse or expand, whether civilizations rise or vanish. It carries forward with no mind, no purpose, no end beyond its own unfolding. From its perspective, if it can be said to have one, there is no difference between a star and a stone, between a life and a void. And yet, within its indifference, humanity finds its greatest meaning. For what could be more profound than to search, even when the cosmos does not answer? What could be more extraordinary than awareness born in a place so hostile to it? The very act of asking, where does the river lead? Why does it flow? Transforms insignificance into something luminous. The river does not need purpose, but the search for it becomes humanity's purpose. Science does not promise comfort. Its revelations strip away illusions of centrality, of permanence, of safety. Once, Earth was believed to be the center of creation. Then, only one world among planets. Then, only one planet circling a common star. Then, only one star among billions in a galaxy, which itself is only one among trillions. And now, perhaps, even this universe is only one current among infinite rivers. Each discovery has diminished humanity's place, yet expanded its vision. Each revelation has made existence seem smaller, yet richer, stranger, more mysterious. For even as the river erases illusions of control, it deepens the wonder of being carried at all. The tools of inquiry continue to grow. The James Webb Space Telescope peers farther back in time than any eye before, seeing galaxies that formed only a few 100 million years after the Big Bang. The Euclid mission maps dark matter and dark energy across vast cosmic scales, revealing the shape of the river's hidden flow. The Vera Rubin Observatory will soon capture the sky night after night, tracing the faintest flickers of galaxies like driftwood in the current. And in particle accelerators, collisions recreate the energies of the earliest universe, probing the quantum fields that may underlie dark energy. In gravitational wave detectors, ripples in spacetime itself are recorded, the echoes of black holes colliding, the tremors of the river's deepest currents. Each discovery brings not certainty, but deeper mystery. The horizon recedes with every step, as though the river forever flows just beyond reach. Yet the search does not stop. It cannot stop. Perhaps this is the essence of existence, not to control the river, but to witness it, not to command its flow, but to ask where it leads. The cosmos is vast, unyielding, and ultimately indifferent. But within it drifts a species that refuses silence, that insists on questioning, that builds fragile vessels of thought and steals to glimpse what lies beyond. The story of the universe may be written in forces indifferent to life. Yet the story of life is written in the act of seeking, in the courage to look into the abyss and not turn away. The fate of the river remains uncertain. Perhaps it ends in silence, the big freeze stretching all light into darkness. Perhaps it ends in destruction, the big rip tearing even atoms apart. Perhaps it is only one current among countless others, flowing into an eternal multiverse. But whatever the ending, the present remains. Stars still burn. Galaxies still glow. Rivers still flow. And within this brief interval between beginning and end, awareness exists. A universe has given rise to beings who can ask what it is, who can measure its currents, who can dream of its destination. The river may be indifferent, but the journey upon it is not. For within the brief drift of humanity's time, there lies meaning, not given by the cosmos, but created in the search to understand it. In the end, the image is simple. A river flowing through space-time, invisible, unstoppable, eternal. Galaxies like lanterns upon its waters, stars like sparks cast adrift, planets like stones carried within eddies, life like foam upon the surface. And somewhere within that foam, a fleeting spark of awareness asks where the current leads. The river does not answer. It simply carries forward. But the act of asking transforms the silence into wonder. And in that wonder, the cosmos finds its reflection. The story of the universe often feels like a story without an audience. Stars ignite, galaxies collide, black holes devour suns, and space itself swells outward into a silence so vast it resists imagination. Yet somewhere, on a small blue world circling an unremarkable star, a species of fragile creatures has dared to look up and ask, "Where is this river carrying us?" The cosmic river does not answer. It does not bend toward hope or despair. It flows, indifferent to the questions carried on human lips. And yet, in this indifference, something extraordinary emerges. For while the river has no voice, humanity has given it words. While the river drifts without meaning, humanity has dared to weave meaning into its silence. From the earliest myths, people spoke of oceans and journeys, of ferrymen and eternal tides. Long before telescopes were raised to the sky, sailors stood on the shores of real seas, staring toward horizons they could not cross. They did not know where the waters ended, or whether the world continued beyond their sight. And still, they set sail. Today, physicists, astronomers, and dreamers are heirs to those first voyagers. Their ships are not wooden hulls, but equations written on chalkboards, detectors buried beneath mountains, satellites that drift high above Earth's skies. These are humanity's fragile vessels, launched not into saltwater, but into space-time itself. Each one is an attempt to glimpse the currents that hold the universe together. The questions they ask are not small. They ask what dark energy is, why the cosmos accelerates, whether there are other rivers branching beyond our own. They ask if time will end in silence, or if new worlds will one day emerge from the collapse of the old. To ask such questions is to admit that the river cannot be stopped, and yet to refuse to surrender to its indifference. There is a paradox here. Humans are insignificant, and yet their curiosity is vast. A single life lasts less than the blink of a cosmic eye. Entire civilizations rise and fall before a distant galaxy even moves perceptibly in the sky. Against the immensity of space-time, humanity is almost nothing. And yet it is this, almost nothing, that dares to contemplate the whole. The telescopes we build, Hubble, Webb, Euclid, the ones yet to launch, are mirrors not only of light, but of longing. In their glass, galaxies billions of years old are reflected, but so is humanity's need to belong to something larger than itself. The equations we trace, from Einstein's relativity to quantum fields, are more than symbols. They are maps drawn by minds that drift through a world they did not choose, hoping to chart the hidden currents beneath reality. Perhaps this is what makes the search meaningful. Not that the river will reveal its destination, but that the act of seeking reveals humanity to itself. In every unanswered question lies a mirror, showing that to be human is to live suspended between insignificance and wonder. The river carries everything towards silence, yet in that silence, humans sing. The ancient sailors who first crossed uncharted oceans did not know whether their ships would reach another shore or vanish into endless water. But they launched anyway, because to remain was to wither. So too with science. Every theory, every mission, every fragile attempt to pierce the mystery is an act of setting sail, not because certainty awaits, but because motion itself is life. Some scientists warn of bleak fates, the big freeze, the big rip, a final silence where not even atoms remain. But even these are not only endings, they are reminders of scale. The universe does not promise comfort. It promises immensity. And within that immensity, life has appeared, improbable, fragile, temporary, yet awake. That awakening itself is the miracle. The ability to name the river, to map its currents, even if only for a moment, is what sets humanity apart. In the end, perhaps the river is not something outside humanity, but something within it. The flow of space-time and the flow of thought are not the same, but they are intertwined. Consciousness is also a current, arising from the matter born in stars, carried forward through memory, stories, science, and dreams. The universe drifts outward, and humanity drifts with it. But in that drifting, a new kind of current is born, the current of meaning. The search for dark energy, for the fate of the cosmos, for the laws that govern reality, may never reach a final answer. But perhaps final answers are not the point. Perhaps the point is to remain in motion, to continue asking, to keep launching fragile vessels into the unknown. For in doing so, humanity does not conquer the river. It learns to travel with it. The river is vast, indifferent, endless. It does not care whether humanity exists. And yet, while it flows unseen, humanity watches, listens, names, imagines. The river carries everything into silence, but humans speak into that silence, and the echoes become history. The story of the universe is not only the story of galaxies, black holes, and dark currents. It is also the story of minds that looked up and dared to wonder. Minds that understood the river would never stop, and yet refused to drift without reflection. In that refusal lies humanity's meaning, small, fragile, temporary, but luminous. And so, as the cosmos flows forward, the question is not whether humanity will outlast the river. It will not. The question is whether, while it drifts, it will continue to seek, to build, to imagine, whether it will keep launching its vessels, however fragile, into the current. The river does not need meaning, but meaning is what humans create when they search its depths. The river is indifferent. The search is not. And in that difference lies the essence of what it means to be alive, to be conscious, to be a voyager on an ocean without end. In the silence of the universe, the river flows. And against that silence, humanity whispers, "We were here. We wondered. We sailed.